Hello all, welcome to part 1 of Kubernetes Made Easy tutorial. In this session, I'm going to explain what exactly is Kubernetes. So let's get started. Kubernetes is a container management tool. That is, it is a tool for managing the containers. We can also say Kubernetes is a container orchestration engine. So how does Kubernetes manage containers? Before understanding that, let's first understand what exactly are containers. Without having the knowledge of containers, you will not understand how Kubernetes tool can manage containers. So let's understand containers. So that too, I'll explain containers in two different ways. First, I'll explain containers that are used in real world, and then I'll explain containers that are used in software. Okay. So first, I'll explain the containers in real world. Okay. So this is the image, guys. So once you look this image, you will understand what exactly are containers in real world. You know about these containers, guys. Okay, you will see here and there. So let's wait for the image to load. And these are nothing but the containers. Why we use these containers, guys, in real world? For shipping, right? If you want to pack a group of things and ship them to another location, we need containers. For example, if you want to import, okay, if you want to import some goods from other country or other location to your locality for doing the business or whatever it is, so you will get that goods in the form of containers, right? The other person who is selling the goods will pack all the goods required by you in this kind of boxes known as containers. And as a pack, they will ship to your location. And then you can unpack these containers and start selling those goods received from these containers at your locality for doing the business. Similarly, if you want to export the goods to other location also for packing purpose, for packing all your goods that you need to export to other location or other country, right? You need this kind of containers. In real world, this is what is the containers are all about. Here, one thing you have to focus is packing. The main important aspect of containers is all your goods, different type of goods it may be, same goods or different good, doesn't matter. All the goods that you need to ship to other location, you need to pack them together and put them into this kind of boxes known as containers so that they will not get mixed with other things, right? So this kind of containers are required in real world for this shipping purpose from one location to other location for importing and exporting of the goods. But coming to the software, containers have the same feel, containers have the same meaning, but how they are different in software. So in software, guys, containers are nothing but, okay, in software, the containers are nothing but lightweight virtual machines, okay, in software terms, okay, not in real world. So in software, guys, the meaning of containers is lightweight virtual machines. That means these virtual machines are very lightweight, okay, very lightweight, very fast, kind of, okay. So, so I'll explain more about containers, guys. Okay, I'll explain more about containers. So they are for now they are like a lightweight virtual machines. Okay, if you have to understand, okay, if you have to understand these containers in more detail, so here I can explain. Okay, so containerized application is the term you need to understand. So we have a software like Docker software, guys. Okay, there is a software like Docker software. Okay, there are set of videos which I have already created on Docker, guys. Okay, if you want to have more knowledge about what exactly containers are, how why I'm saying containers are lightweight virtual machines in detailed manner, if you want, you can go and watch my other videos on Docker. Okay, Docker. So using this Docker software, we can create these containers. Okay, using this Docker software, we can create this lightweight virtual machines. Fine. So why we have to create this lightweight virtual machines, that is containers, to containerize the application. So here, like we are packing different type of goods into a single box, right? Called as container, right? Here also, in software also, we'll pack a lot of stuff like application. Okay, the application, for example, Amazon.com or Flipkart.com. That application code will pack along with its required dependencies and libraries. Okay, for this application to run, we need some dependencies and libraries, right? Some dependencies or libraries are required for running any application. That required applications and required dependencies and libraries required for the application, along with the application, and also the place to run them. Place to put all these application dependencies, libraries is nothing but environment. Like it may be an operating system or whatever it is. Okay, so all these things need to be packed into a single box. Okay, All these things like in software terms, guys, application, the dependencies, libraries for running these applications, and the environment where the application has to run, all these pieces will be put together into a single box known as a container, guys. And to create this container, we need a software known as Docker software. Okay, to create these containers, we need a software known as Docker software. Using the Docker software, we can create this kind of containers where application and its required dependencies for running the application, libraries for running the application, and the place where this application has to run and where this dependency libraries has to be put, that is environment. All this will be packed into a single entity or box known as container, and this container need to be created using the software known as Docker software. And finally, container is nothing but a lightweight virtual machine containing the application, dependencies, libraries, and environment. Okay, it is a lightweight virtual environment or machine. And to create that containers, we need Docker software. Okay, fine. Now you understood what is a container, right? Now you understood what is a container. So in software terms, you understood what is container. Now let's understand what is a Kubernetes, why Kubernetes is required. So in real world, guys, only one container is not enough. Okay, for running the application in real world, there are big applications, right? Facebook.com, Amazon.com, such kind of big complex applications. If you want to run on a single container, which is very lightweight, that is not possible, right? So we need a group of, that is a cluster of containers. So if you see this image of the Kubernetes, you will understand what I am talking about. In real world needs, an application, a single application cannot be run on a single container. We need a group of containers, a very huge list of containers we need. And where these containers will be available, we have to create these containers on the a set of server machines, not a single server machine. For big applications, a group of containers, that is a cluster of containers, need to be created on a set of server machines, not a single server machine. Okay. Now, to manage a single container, okay, we can manage. Okay. For managing a single container, we can manage. We can start the container, we can stop the container, we can deploy the application into the container, we can do the process in the container. Manually, we can manage for one container. But in real needs, as per the real needs, as I already mentioned, okay, single container is not enough. A large list of, a group of, a cluster of containers are required to be created on a set of server machines to manage that many number of containers. Okay, to manage that many number of containers on the server machines, it's not a simple task. We cannot do it manually. That's where, guys, we need Kubernetes, a tool which manages a cluster of containers on the server machines, okay, which are there on the server machines. That is called as Kubernetes, which is a container management tool. Also, we can say that as container orchestration tool. Okay, container management tool or container orchestration tool. Fine. So what does this tool manage? How does this Kubernetes or any other container management tool manage these containers? Okay. Generally, this Kubernetes or any other container management tool will manage the containers in the form of deploying. They, this kind of tool, this management tool will deploy the applications on this container. It will schedule the processes. Okay. Some activities need to be done. Some jobs need to be done on this containers, right? That scheduling of the jobs, everything will be done by the this tool. And scaling, you see, in real time, an application may need a set of containers, a number of containers. Sometimes application may need more containers. Then we need to scale up the number of containers, increase the number of count of the containers. Who can do that? Again, the same tool. Okay, scale down. Sometimes unnecessary containers are there, we need to scale down. Okay, so whatever the containers that are required for running our application, that many number of containers are enough. Sometimes we need to scale up the containers, sometimes we need to reduce the count of the containers on the server machines. And this all comes into managing part, guys. And load balancing, another important point is load balancing. You see, the applications like Amazon.com, Flipkart.com in real world, right? They will get a lot of traffic. User traffic will come, right? People keep on placing the orders. People keep on posting something on Facebook, right? This all requests will go and hit these containers. Okay, these containers are the place where the application is deployed and running. Okay, these are the lightweight virtual machines on which the application is deployed and running. So when all the traffic is hitting the single container, the container will go down or the application will slow down. So here, without affecting the application speed, the traffic need to be diverted to different container machines here, container lightweight virtual machines here. All these things will be taken by Kubernetes internally, container management tools internally. They will divert the traffic. They will direct the traffic to the required container machines and make the application run smoothly without any performance issues. That's where load balancing is required, and many other things can be managed by the tools like this Kubernetes, which are container management tools. Like apart from deploying, scheduling, scaling up and down, load balancing, right? Other activities can be like other management activities done by these container management tools are batch execution, rollbacks, monitoring of these containers, and many more are possible. Okay, so now hope you understood now what is a Kubernetes. Kubernetes is one of the container management tools available in the market for managing the containers, that is managing the lightweight virtual machines, which are packed with this application, required dependencies, libraries, and environment. Okay. So how to create these containers? We have to use Docker software. One of the software in the market for creating the containers is Docker. There are other softwares also apart from Docker for creating the containers. Docker is a famous software in the market for creating the containers, this kind of lightweight virtual machines. And to manage that group of virtual machines, a cluster of virtual machines on the server machines for doing the scheduling, deploying, scaling, load balancing, and many other management activities, we need container management tool, that is container orchestration engine, that is Kubernetes. And Kubernetes is also known as K8s. Why it is called known as K8s? Why shortly it is called as K8s? There is a reason, guys. You see, starting letter is K, ending letter is S, and in between K and S there are 8 letters. That's why it is called as K8s, short form. If you want to call Kubernetes in a short form, you can say K8s. Okay, so that's what is the Kubernetes all about, guys. I explained a lot already about the container and Kubernetes by this time. Let's understand more in real world what happens. Okay, real time what happens. So in real time, guys, the application code will be developed by the developer, and once the application code is ready and developed by the developer will simply package. Okay, will pack this application into the container, right? You see here, container means we have to pack everything, na? So container means we have to pack everything. Here, I said whatever the goods you want to deliver to other locality, right? All the set of goods we have to pack together, that becomes a box known as container. Here also, developer will develop the code for an application. Application is one thing, one item, okay, which for which the code has been developed by the developer. That's one item. Apart from the application, guys, there are some dependencies and libraries required for running this application, right? You see, every application cannot run it by its own, right? It requires some third-party dependencies and libraries, right? Right? All these dependencies and libraries for running the application are required. So developer clearly knows what are the dependencies and libraries that are required for creating and running the application. All this together, you will pack, and along with that, we need a place, right, to run this application and to get to put this dependence and libraries for running the application. We need a place like environment, like operating system, and all those stuff. Okay, all these 4 items or any other items that are required will be packed into a box known as container, which is a lightweight virtual machine. So developer does that. Once this container is ready, that is lightweight virtual machine having this application dependence, libraries, and environment is ready, then developer will upload the container, okay, into some cloud platforms. For example, Docker, there is a cloud platform like Docker hub.docker.com is a cloud platform. Such kind of places, developer will upload this container, and from that place, all the team members who are working in the team along with this developer, right, maybe testers or any other person, okay, other colleagues or whatever it is, they will, if they have to get this container which is created and packed by this developer, right, they can download the container. Okay, so shipping is done here. Here, developer is packing the required goods like application, dependencies, libraries, and environment, and putting in a box known as lightweight virtual machine and uploading that into a central place where people can download. Then from that place, whoever has access, right, they can download the container and start running this containers, that is lightweight virtual machines, having the application dependencies, libraries, and environment packed together. Ready-made container, right? Ready-made machine having all the application running. So people can simply download and start running the containers, start running the virtual machines. So this is what happens in real time, guys. Okay. So here you need to understand the term containerized application. Who will create this containerized application? Developer will create using with the help of the Docker software. Developer will create this kind of container having all the packing of all this stuff and create the containerized application that people can download. Developer will upload this, create after creating, he will upload that, and other people in the team can download and start using without any problem. Same replica they can download and use. And as I already mentioned, right, all the other advantages of the Kubernetes I already mentioned. Okay, So there are different advantages like deploying, scheduling, scaling, load balancing. I already explained this. Okay. So why container orchestration tools are required? You see, in real world, one container is not enough. Multiple group of containers are required. For that, we need some container management tools like Kubernetes. Kubernetes is one of the famous, okay, one of the famous container management tool, okay, container management tools available in the market. That's why people will go with the Kubernetes for managing the containers. Okay, a group of cluster of containers will be managed on the set of servers. That will be done by Kubernetes. All these are the management activities: deploying, scheduling, scaling, load balancing, and all those stuff. Okay, batch execution, rollbacks, monitoring, and all those stuff. And all these activities are automated. You don't have to do the things manually, guys. These management activities are done automatically by Kubernetes. Once you give Kubernetes this set of or a cluster of containers which are created on the server machines, a set of server machines, right? Kubernetes will take the remaining part. It will automate all the processes like scheduling, scaling up, and all those stuff. Okay. So similar to Kubernetes, there are other alternative container orchestration tools or container management tools available in the market, but Kubernetes is the most popular one. So few examples for alternatives for Kubernetes are Docker Swarm and Apache Mesos Marathon. These are the other two container management tools available in the market. Similarly, for creating the containers also, Docker is one for creating these lightweight virtual machines containing these packed applications, libraries, dependencies, and environment, right? Docker is a software. Such software we can use for creating, uploading, and downloading all the stuff. Similarly, Docker also has some alternatives in the market, guys, but Docker is famous. At the same time, Kubernetes is famous. Kubernetes can manage. So Kubernetes is the most popular container management tool, which can manage a cluster of containers which are created using this software known as Docker software. Okay. To understand Docker more, just watch my other videos on Docker, guys. There are around 20 plus videos I created. Just go and watch my other videos on Docker. Okay. If you want to get more clarity on what is Kubernetes and what is Docker and what is container, what are containers and how Kubernetes manages the containers. So that's all about the Kubernetes, guys. In the next session, I'll explain more about Kubernetes because I don't want to cover everything about Kubernetes in this session. So this is just an introduction of Kubernetes just to get started. So we have to go to the next level, deep level of Kubernetes that I will be covering in the next few sessions. And followed by that sessions, I'll make the things more practical, like how to use Kubernetes and all. Practical stuff also I'll explain in the upcoming sessions. This is just a part one. Let's meet in the part two, guys. Thank you. Bye. Hello all. Welcome to part 2 of Kubernetes Made Easy tutorial. In this session, I am going to explain one of the features of Kubernetes, that is automatic bin packing. So let's get started. As part of automatic bin packing, Kubernetes allocates the resources of the server, that is CPU and memory resources of the server, to the required containers. As you can see in this image, the blue areas are nothing but the available server resources that can be allocated to the containers when required. Whereas the orange color things are nothing but the server resources which are already allocated to the containers by Kubernetes. During this process of automatic bin packing, Kubernetes automatically deploys the applications on containers by making sure the application is still live and running. And also, it will make sure it has effectively allocated the server resources to the containers without unnecessarily wasting any server resources. So, in the next session, I will explain one more feature of Kubernetes. Till then, bye. Hello all, welcome to part 3 of Kubernetes Made Easy tutorial. In this session, I am going to explain about pods and nodes. So let's get started. As you can see in this image, Kubernetes doesn't directly interact with these containers. Rather, one or more containers, that is multiple containers, are wrapped inside pods, and one or more pods, that is multiple pods, are wrapped inside nodes. Nodes are nothing but physical or virtual machines. And while specifying these pods, we can optionally specify how much CPU and memory resources that these containers need. By specifying these resource requirements of the containers, Kubernetes can make decisions about which nodes to be chosen for pods. And to conclude, guys, Kubernetes doesn't directly interact with the containers. Rather, multiple nodes like this, that is physical or virtual machines, contain multiple pods like this. And multiple pods contain multiple containers. So that's it, guys. See you in the next session. Thank you. Bye. Hello all. Welcome to part 4 of Kubernetes Made Easy tutorial. In this session, I'm going to explain the difference between Kubernetes and Docker. So let's get started. First of all, Kubernetes and Docker are not competitors. Rather, Kubernetes can be used along with Docker for more benefits. Together, they give more benefits. They are not competitors. First of all, let me explain what exactly is Docker. Docker, in simple terms, is a software which can be used for creating and using containers. Okay, using Docker software, we can create and use containers. So, what are containers? Containers are nothing but the lightweight, isolated virtual machines having the required applications along with its libraries, dependencies, and environment packed inside a single box, okay, or unit. That is called as a container. Okay, a single box or unit where the required application, its libraries, its dependencies, and environments are packed together. That's what is a container, which is nothing but the lightweight virtual machine. To create such kind of lightweight virtual machine containers containing the application, its libraries, dependencies, and the environment, we need to use Docker software. Okay, we need to use Docker software. Now let me show you the process for creating such kind of Docker containers using the Docker software. Here is an image which depicts the process for creating these Docker containers. As you can see in this diagram, at the end, Docker containers are created, right? How they are created? With the help of Docker software. What is the process? Let me explain. It all starts with this Docker file. A developer will create this Docker file which contains the instructions to create Docker image. Upon building this Docker file, we'll get this Docker image. Okay, upon building this Docker file, we'll get this Docker image, which can be passed to the Docker software for creating the Docker containers. Before we pass this Docker image to the Docker software for creating the Docker containers, the developer who has created this Docker image will upload the Docker image to the Docker Hub. What is Docker Hub? A cloud repository where all the developers will upload their Docker images to. Why they want to upload this Docker image to the Docker Hub? Why the developers will upload their Docker image to the Docker Hub cloud repository? So that anyone can download from there, right? This is the process of shipping. You see, you are shipping the goods like that. Okay, you are shipping the Docker images to other people who are in need of creating the containers. Okay, so developer of the Docker image will upload the Docker image, which is kind of executable one. It's not exe file. It's a kind of executable which we can run. Okay, the Docker image will be uploaded to the Docker Hub cloud repository. From the Docker Hub, who are in need of this Docker image will download that particular Docker image to their respective machines where they are working. And once they download, they will pass this Docker image to the Docker software. And with the help of the Docker software and by using this Docker image, they'll create this Docker containers, which are nothing but the lightweight, virtual, isolated machines having the application packed along with the required dependencies, libraries, and environment to run the application. Everything is there here. Those are nothing but Docker containers. Fine. This is the process of creating the Docker containers with the help of the Docker software. So now tell me, what is Docker? In simple terms, Docker is a software which can be used for creating and using the containers base. Okay, simple. Okay, we create containers with the help of the Docker software. Then what about Kubernetes? Kubernetes is not a competitor of Docker. Okay, Kubernetes is not used for creating the containers, guys. But Kubernetes is used for managing such kind of containers. Okay, so Docker creates that containers, whereas Kubernetes manages the containers. It doesn't manage one container. Kubernetes doesn't manage one container. Rather, Kubernetes manages a group or a cluster of containers on the server machines. Okay. So the purpose of the Kubernetes is to manage a group or cluster of containers created by Docker on server machines, a set of server machines. Okay. That's why Kubernetes is known as container management tool because it manages the containers. So container management tool. And also we can say Kubernetes is a container orchestration engine, shortly known as K8s. Okay, it's shortly known as K8s. You can call Kubernetes as K8s also. Okay. Now let me show you an image, guys, where Kubernetes is managing a group or cluster of containers on the set of server machines. Okay. Let me show you the image. So this is the image where the Kubernetes is doing all these management activities on a group of cluster of containers. Here, each and everything is a container, which is nothing but a lightweight virtual isolated machine having the application tagged along with the required libraries, dependencies, and environment. Okay. So these are all the isolated virtual machines. Okay. Lightweight isolated virtual machines, which are created on the set of server machines. Okay. Kubernetes is managing this group or cluster of containers on that server machines. Okay. Not one machine, multiple server machines. Okay. Fine. So what are the management activities that Kubernetes will do on these containers, which are there on the set of server machines? Kubernetes will deploy the applications onto these containers. Okay. These are the different things that Kubernetes manages these containers. Okay. One thing is deploying the applications onto this set of containers. Second thing is Kubernetes can schedule. Okay. It can schedule the containers. It can schedule the processes, jobs, and all those stuff. Okay. And also Kubernetes can scale up and scale down these containers. Okay. Based on some real time needs and requirements. Sometimes we need more containers. So Kubernetes will scale them up. It will create more containers based on the requirement. Whereas when, okay, when we don't need so many containers, Kubernetes will remove the containers. Okay, add the containers and removing the containers will be done by the Kubernetes. But who is creating these containers? Docker. Okay, Docker is a software which can create these containers, whereas Kubernetes is simply adding, scaling up or scaling down, adding or removing the containers from the set of servers. Whereas Kubernetes also balances the load for performance related stuff, guys. Okay, so you see, in real time, we'll get a lot of traffic to our application. And if all the traffic goes to one of the containers, if there are many containers, but all the traffic goes to one container, what will happen? The application will becomes very slow, and also the container will go down over a period of time. Rather than that thing happening, Kubernetes will balance the traffic between these containers so that the application will run fast, and also load is the traffic load or whatever the user load, right? That will be divided or distributed properly across all these containers that are there on the set of server machines. And more things, guys. Okay, many things can be managed on these containers by this Kubernetes, like batch execution, rollbacks, monitoring, which I'm going to explain in the upcoming sessions. Fine. So this is what is Kubernetes, guys. While Docker creates the containers, Kubernetes, okay, Kubernetes manages the containers on the server machines. Now you understood the clear difference between Kubernetes and Docker. Just to cross check, guys, where we are, Docker is nothing but a software which can create this virtual isolated machines where the applications are packed along with the required libraries, dependencies, and environment. Okay. Whereas Kubernetes simply manages such multiple containers. A group or cluster of containers can be managed by Kubernetes, while Docker can create those containers. Is the Docker only software for creating such kind of containers? No, guys. There are other alternative software available in the market apart from Docker for creating such kind of containers. Okay, but Docker is the famous one in the market. Similarly, Kubernetes is a container management tool which manages a group of containers on the set of server machines. But is a Kubernetes is only the one that container management tool available in the market? No, guys. It's not only one. There are many other softwares which can or kind of container management tools which can manage such kind of group of containers on the server machine. But Kubernetes is the famous one. Okay, Kubernetes can use the containers created not only by Docker but also by other softwares also. But Kubernetes and Docker are kind of famous in the market, guys. Okay, while Docker creates the containers, Kubernetes will manage the containers on the server machines. Okay, Docker will automatically build and deploy the applications onto these containers. Okay, while as a process of creating the containers, right, Docker will automatically build and deploy the applications onto the containers. Okay, whatever the containers created by Docker, it will automatically build and deploy the applications. Whereas Kubernetes will take care of the management of this application containers. Okay, so it will automatically schedule all the management activities will be done by the Kubernetes. Whereas Docker, few more things about Docker, guys. Okay, so apart from creating the containers, guys, Docker can be used for distributing the containers. You see, there was something known as, while during the process I explained, right, Docker Hub, a cloud repository. So here, once the developer creates this Docker image, he'll upload that Docker image to the Docker Hub, and so that everyone can download and use it. This process is called as shipping, guys. Okay, shipping of the containers. It's not just about creating the containers, but also shipping the containers is also done by Docker. Okay, so apart from configuring, creating, shipping, distributing means shipping. With the help of Docker Hub and all, Docker can ship the Docker images to the all the people who are in need of the Docker image. Once the people download the Docker image to their respective machines, by passing that Docker image to the Docker software, they can create the containers. This process of uploading and downloading to the from and to the Docker hub is known as shipping, guys. Okay, that is called as shipping. So in simple terms, Docker creates and ship the containers in simple terms, guys. Okay, and container simply manages. Okay, container simply manages the cluster or group of Docker containers or any other software created containers on the set of server machines. So final conclusion, guys, Docker in simple terms is a software which can be used for creating, shipping, and using the containers. Whereas Kubernetes in simple terms is a container management tool or container orchestration engine which can be used for managing a group or cluster of containers on a set of server machines. So hope guys you understood the differences between the Kubernetes on Docker now, and at the same time you have understood what exactly is Docker and what exactly is Kubernetes. So that's it for this session, guys. See you in the next session. Thank you. Bye. Hello all. Welcome to part 5 of Kubernetes Made Easy tutorial. In this session, I'm going to explain one of the features of Kubernetes, that is load balancing. So let's get started. How can Kubernetes perform load balancing? To answer this question, let me show you this image. As shown in this image, Kubernetes doesn't directly interact with its containers. Rather, one or more containers are wrapped by Kubernetes into something known as a pod, and thereafter Kubernetes allocates one single storage volume for each and every pod like this. And then Kubernetes logically groups multiple set of pods which perform same set of functions as a service. Then Kubernetes allocates unique IP address for each and every pod and a DNS name to this service or network service. With the help of these IP addresses of the pods and DNS name allocated to the service, Kubernetes gets a control over the network and thereafter can perform load balancing across them. This is how guys Kubernetes can perform load balancing. So hope guys you got the answer for the question I have raised at the beginning of this session. See you in the next video session. Thank you. Bye. Hello all. Welcome to part 6 of Kubernetes Made Easy tutorial. In this session, I am going to explain one of the features of Kubernetes, that is storage orchestration. So let's get started. How does storage orchestration happen in Kubernetes? To answer this question, let me show you this image. In Kubernetes, multiple containers inside a pod share a single storage volume to store their data. And Kubernetes allows us to choose a storage volume for these pods as local storages like local machine, or cloud storage like AWS, or network storage like NFS. So hope guys you got the answer for the question that I have raised at the beginning of this session. So how does storage orchestration happen in Kubernetes? This is how the storage orchestration happens in Kubernetes. So that's all for this session. See you in the next video session. Thank you. Bye. Hello all. Welcome to part 7 of Kubernetes Made Easy tutorial. In this session, I'm going to explain one of the features of Kubernetes, that is self-healing. So let's get started. How does Kubernetes perform self-healing? Kubernetes runs a process known as replication controller process, which monitors and heals the problematic nodes and containers. Now, let me show you one image. As part of self-healing, Kubernetes will take respective actions on the problematic nodes and containers. If Kubernetes finds a failed container, it will restart the container. If the Kubernetes finds a died node, it will reschedule the containers on this died node to other healthy nodes. If Kubernetes finds a container which doesn't respond to user-defined health check, in that case, Kubernetes will kill the container without impacting the application. So all these are the activities that are performed by Kubernetes as part of self-healing. So that's all for this session. See you in the next video session. Thank you. Bye. Hello all. Welcome to part 8 of Kubernetes Made Easy tutorial. In this session, I am going to explain one of the features of the Kubernetes, that is rollouts, and rollbacks. So let's get started. Kubernetes performs automated rollouts and automated rollbacks. As part of rollouts, Kubernetes continuously deploys the application changes. And as part of rollbacks, when something goes wrong with the deployed changes, then Kubernetes will revert those deployed changes and restores the application to the previous state. And during this process of rollouts and rollbacks, Kubernetes will make sure the application is up and running without any downtime. So hope guys you understood this feature of Kubernetes, that is rollouts and rollbacks. See you in the next video session. Thank you. Bye. Hello all. Welcome to part 9 of Kubernetes Made Easy tutorial. In this session, I'm going to explain one of the features of the Kubernetes, that is secrets management. So let's get started. Secret is a Kubernetes object which handles or manages the sensitive data or information like passwords, keys, tokens, etc. And the secrets object is created outside the pods and containers so that Kubernetes can deploy or update the secrets without touching these containers or without recreating these containers. So hope guys you understood how Kubernetes performs secrets management. So that's it guys. See you in the next video session. Thank you. Bye. Hello all. Welcome to part 10 of Kubernetes Made Easy tutorial. In this session, I'm going to explain one of the features of the Kubernetes, that is configuration management. So let's get started. In Kubernetes, configurations are managed using config map. Similar to the secret, which is a Kubernetes object, config map is also a Kubernetes object which is created outside the pods and containers so that Kubernetes can deploy or update these configurations with this config map without touching these containers or without recreating these containers. So hope guys you understood how Kubernetes performs configuration management. So that's it guys. See you in the next video session. Thank you. Bye. Hello all. Welcome to part 11 of Kubernetes Made Easy tutorial. In this session, I'm going to explain one of the features of this Kubernetes, that is batch execution. So let's get started. Kubernetes run to completion jobs are primarily used for batch execution of required processes. Each and every job of this Kubernetes will create one or more pods. During this job execution, if any container or pod fails, Kubernetes job controller will reschedule this container or pods onto another node. Kubernetes can run multiple pods in parallel. On the top of that, Kubernetes can scale up these jobs when required. That means it can increase the number of jobs to be run when required. Once the job is completed, the pods will be moving from running state to shutdown state, but they won't be either deleted or killed, so that users can get the results and collect the logs at later point of time. So hope guys you understood how Kubernetes performs batch execution. So that's all guys. See you in the next video session. Thank you. Bye. Hello all. Welcome to part 12 of Kubernetes Made Easy tutorial. In this session, I'm going to explain one of the features of the Kubernetes, that is horizontal scaling. So let's get started. In Kubernetes, as part of horizontal scaling, we can scale up the containers. That means we can increase the count of the containers when more containers are required, or we can scale down the containers. That means we can decrease the count of the containers when less number of containers are required. In Kubernetes, there are three ways using which we can scale up or scale down the containers. That is from command line, that is the first way, from Kubernetes UI, second way, and third one is automatical scaling guys. Based on available resources like CPU, etc., automatical scaling will be done. These are three ways in Kubernetes using which we can scale up or scale down the containers. Fine. Now, apart from this, Kubernetes has three main structures which support horizontal scaling. What are those three main structures in Kubernetes which support horizontal scaling? First one is replication controller, second one is manifest file, and third one is horizontal pod autoscaler. Let me show you one image. As shown in this image, there are three main structures in Kubernetes which supports horizontal scaling. Replication control is the first one, manifest file is the second one, and horizontal pod autoscaler is the third one. So what is the job of this replication controller? The job of this replication controller is to create the required number of pods. Okay, it has to create the required number of pods as part of this horizontal scaling. Not only that, guys, it has to make sure that the required number of pods always exists and running. And if any particular pod crashes, then immediately replication controller has to replace that pod. Okay, it has to replace the crashed pod. From where this replication controller will get the information that this many number of pods are required. It will get the information from the manifest file. Okay, another structure of the Kubernetes. From here, it will get the information. So this kind of information like replicas 4, that means, okay, in the manifest file, replicas 4 will be there. So replication controller will get this kind of information like 4 pods are required. So it has to create 4 pods and make sure that all these 4 pods are available and running. If any of the pod crashes, replication control has to replace that crashed pod with a new pod. And there is one more structure in Kubernetes which supports this horizontal scaling, that is horizontal pod autoscaler. Okay, this one is something different, guys, which auto scales up and down the containers based on the available CPU or any other available resources. Okay, based on any other available resource like CPU, etc. It has to auto scale up and down the containers. Okay, that's the purpose of this third structure of this Kubernetes, which supports this horizontal scaling. So hope, guys, you understood how Kubernetes performs horizontal scaling. So that's it, guys. See you in the next video session. Thank you. Bye. Hello all. Welcome to part 13 of Kubernetes Made Easy tutorial. In this session, I'm going to explain about Kubernetes architecture. So let's get started. First of all, I'll explain the high-level architecture of the Kubernetes. As you can see in this image, when we deploy Kubernetes, we get this cluster. This cluster contains a set of machines, that is physical machines or virtual machines. These machines act as nodes, and these nodes can be categorized into master nodes and worker nodes. While master nodes manage these worker nodes, whereas in worker nodes, we deploy containers using container platforms like Docker. To form this cluster, there should be at least one master node and at least one worker node. And also, there is a possibility of multiple clusters when we deploy Kubernetes. This is the high level architecture of the Kubernetes. Now, let's dig deep into this architecture. First, let's dig deep into this master node. When you go deep into this master node, you'll find multiple components. There are 4 components in the master node. As you can see in this image, there are 4 components in this master node. That is API server, scheduler, control manager, and etcd. These are the 4 components in the master node. Let me explain one by one. First component, API server, I'll explain. API server component of the master node is responsible for overall communication in the Kubernetes cluster. Okay, this is the main component which is responsible for overall communication. Okay, all communication that happens in the Kubernetes cluster, who is responsible? This API server component is responsible. And as you can see here, there are 2 interfaces. Okay, there are 2 interfaces using which we can interact with the Kubernetes cluster. One of the interface here we have is a command line interface, which is kubectl tool. Whereas the other interface is the UI interface, that is Kubernetes dashboard. Okay, these are the 2 interfaces using which we can interact with the Kubernetes cluster. But to interact with this Kubernetes cluster, these 2 interfaces need to talk to API server. Via API server only, they can interact with the Kubernetes cluster. Okay. Apart from these 4 components in the master node, we have these 2 interfaces in the Kubernetes cluster. Okay. But in order for these 2 interfaces to communicate with the Kubernetes cluster, they have to talk to API server, and via API server only they have to interact with the Kubernetes cluster. Okay, fine. So one of them is the command line interface, other one is the UI interface. Okay, Kubernetes dashboard is the UI interface. kubectl tool is the command line interface. Fine. Now the next component of the master node, that is scheduler. Scheduler is responsible for scheduling the pods across the nodes. Okay, it's responsible for scheduling the pods across the nodes. So how can scheduler schedule the suitable pods across nodes? This is possible because scheduler knows all the configuration and hardware requirements of the nodes. Okay, so it can guess based on the requirements of the pods, it can guess which pod is suitable for which node. But from where does the scheduler component get all this configuration and hardware requirement information? It will get all this information from the configuration files. Okay, from the configuration file, the scheduler will get information like configuration and hardware requirements of these nodes and pods, and based on this information, scheduler schedules the suitable pods to the suitable nodes. That's what the second component of the master node scheduler is all about. Now let's move to the third component of the master node, that is control manager. This control manager component of the master node runs something known as controllers. Okay, these controllers check whether the nodes in the Kubernetes cluster are running all the time. Okay, it's monitoring the nodes that are running in the Kubernetes cluster to see whether they are running all the time. And these controllers, which are run by this control manager component, also checks the health of the cluster. And one more thing also, guys. Okay, these controllers, which are run by this control manager component of this master node, right, will also make sure whether the correct number of nodes are running in the Kubernetes cluster. How come the controller manager run controllers know about the correct number of nodes are running in the cluster or not, Kubernetes cluster or not? How they will know? So they will know all this stuff from a file known as specification file. Okay, this control manager knows gets the information from a file known as specifications file, that how many number of components, how many number of nodes need to run in the cluster. Okay, based on that information only, the controllers run by this control manager will check whether the correct number of nodes are running in the cluster. That's what it will check. Okay, these are three things it will check. Okay, first check is like the nodes are running all the time or not. Health of the cluster will be checked by this controllers, which are run by this control manager component. And third thing is correct number of nodes are running in the Kubernetes cluster as per the specifications files, as mentioned in the specifications file. Now guys, these three components are over. Now let's go to the fourth component. Okay, fourth component is this open source database etcd. Etcd is an open source database which is responsible for storing, okay, which is responsible for storing all the data in the Kubernetes cluster. All the data in the Kubernetes cluster need to be stored at a single database, that is etcd, which is an open source database. And this is the fourth component. So these are the components of the master node, and I also covered the two interfaces using which we can interact with the Kubernetes cluster, and these interfaces need to talk to the API server to interact with the Kubernetes cluster. Okay, now let's dig deep into the worker nodes. Okay, we are done with the master node components, right? Now let's dig deep into the worker node components. There are three worker node components. In every worker node, you will have these three components. Okay, one is kubelet, second one is kubeproxy, and third one is a container runtime, guys. Not runner, guys. Spelling mistake is a container runtime. These are three components. In each and every worker node, we will have these three components. So what they will do? Let me first explain this component kubelet. Okay, kubelet is an agent which runs in all worker nodes. And what is the responsibility of this kubelet? It will make sure the containers are running in the pods as specified in the pod specs. Okay, this kubelet is an agent running on each worker node, and it will make sure whether the containers are running in the pods as specified in where? pod specs. Okay, pod specs. So that is what is the purpose of this kubelet. And this kubelet communicates or interacts with the master node via API server. Okay? That's what is the kubelet. Now we have another component of the worker node, that is kube proxy. Okay, another component of the worker node is nothing but the kube proxy, which is a network agent which is responsible for maintaining the network configurations and rules. Okay, which is responsible for maintaining the network configurations and rules. And this kube proxy tracks the master node via the API server only. Again, the communication point is API server. Okay, now the third component of the worker node, that is container runtime. It's not runner, runtime. Spelling mistake is there. Okay, so this is nothing but a software, guys. Okay, which runs these containers. Container runtime is a software for running these containers. Example for the container runtime software is Docker software. Okay, which makes sure or which runs these containers, guys. The component is responsible for running the containers. Okay, example for this container runtime software is Docker software. And when we club all this high level architecture of Kubernetes and this master node components along with this two interfaces for interacting with the Kubernetes cluster, and also when we club this components of the worker node, all this together, if you put, it will become this complete architecture of the Kubernetes. Okay, this will become the complete architecture of the complete and in detailed architecture of the Kubernetes. So as you can see here, there are two interfaces using which we can interact with the Kubernetes cluster, and we have this master node which contains all the four components, that is API server, scheduler, control manager, and etcd. And also we have this worker node components. Okay, worker nodes and worker node components, that is kubelet, kube proxy, and container runtime. So this becomes the complete and in detailed architecture of the Kubernetes. So hope guys you understood the complete and in detailed architecture of Kubernetes in this session. So that's it, guys. See you in the next video session. Thank you. Bye. Hello all. Welcome to part 14 of Kubernetes Made Easy tutorial. In this session, I am going to explain and practically show you how to practice Kubernetes in our personal computers by setting up Kubernetes cluster using Minikube. So let's get started. First of all, what exactly is this Minikube? With the help of Minikube, we can set up and run Kubernetes on our personal computers. But to install this Minikube, there are few prerequisites. First prerequisite we have is we should have, that is our personal computer should have 2 CPUs or more. How to find out? For that, click on this window search and type task manager and open this task manager. Once the task manager is open, just click on this performance tab and here come down and see how many cores you have. If you have 4 cores, that means you have more than 2. That's fine. 2 CPUs or more is fine. And the next one is you to have 2 GB of free memory. So click on this and say system information, and you will get the system information and scroll down. I have 8 GB of RAM, which is more than enough. Definitely I will have 2 GB of free memory, so no problem. Third thing is 20 GB of free disk space should be there. Yes, I have 20 GB of free disk space in my machine. I should have an internet connection. Yes, I have. And the last prerequisite is you should have any container platforms like Docker to be installed. Okay. So there are many container platforms like Docker in the market. You have to install such softwares beforehand. Okay. So I'll be installing Docker, guys. Okay, which is a famous one in the market anyhow. So Docker container platform we have to install. So if you don't have container platforms like Docker, then it is not going to work. So don't worry, guys. You don't have to go anywhere. In this session itself, I'll show you how to install Docker. Okay. So apart from showing you how to install Minikube and all those stuff, right? So I'll show you how to install Docker, which is a prerequisite for this installing Minikube. Okay, fine. So how to install Docker? Even Docker has some prerequisites, guys. Okay, you should have Windows 10 64-bit or higher. Okay, mine is Windows 11, guys. Okay, you should have at least Windows 10 64-bit or higher. Okay, since Windows 11 is a higher version, that's fine. Okay, so you can even cross check here your operating system version. Just Go to Windows search and say WinVer and run this command, and you'll get the current operating system you have. I have Windows 11, but Windows 10 64-bit or higher is enough. So no problem. Mine is way higher. Second thing is you should have minimum 4 GB RAM. I have 8 GB RAM as I already shown you, right? So I don't have to show again. So third prerequisite is BIOS level virtualization need to be enabled. Okay, how to check this? I can click on this Windows search and type task manager, open the task manager and go to the performance tab, and here if you come down here, there is some label known as virtualization which is in enabled state. Okay, that is enough. Okay, if this virtualization is in enabled state, that means we are good. Okay, BIOS level virtualization is enabled. Then next one is we should enable WSL2. Okay, we should enable this WSL2, which stands for Windows Subsystem for Linux. Okay, Windows Subsystem for Linux need to be enabled. How to do that? These are few steps, guys. Okay, these are few steps to do that. So first of all, what we'll do here is here we'll go to this link, guys. Okay, let's go to this link. Just click on this link. You'll have all the information there. And before we scroll to this link, guys, okay, before we go through this link, what we'll do is here I'll click on this Windows search and type turn Windows features on or off. Okay, this one you type in the Windows search, you type for this, you'll get this control panel option. Just click on that. Once you get this Windows features dialog, after searching for that in the Windows search, scroll down and here there will be something known as Windows Subsystem for Linux. This option need to be in enabled state. Okay, in your Windows machine, this option need to be in enabled state. And apart from that, there's one more option, guys, virtual machine platform. This option also need to be in enabled state. This one and this one, Windows Subsystem for Linux should be enabled. Virtual machine platform also should be enabled. When these two options are enabled, they are not enabled, guys, enable them and restart your machine. Okay, you have to enable these two options and then restart your machine. Okay, so since in my machine they are already enabled and have already restarted multiple times, I don't have to restart and show you. But in your case, guys, you have to enable these options and restart your machine. Okay, restart your machine. Then, guys, as we have opened this URL, right? Okay, this one already I have opened here. Okay, otherwise I'll open here again. Let me click on that link and this will be open. And we'll go to the step 2, guys. Directly we'll go to the step 2 here. And here another prerequisite we should have is if your machine is a 64-bit machine, in that case your build version should be either 18362 or higher. Okay, how to find that? Just click on Windows search and WinVer, type WinVer and click on this. Again, you will get this dialog. You can see the build version, OS build version is 22,000.434, which is way higher than 18362. So no problem, right? This one is also matching. Scroll down. Now, what is the next one? We'll go to the directly. We'll go to the step 4, guys. Go to the step 4, and here there is a software we need to download. Download the Linux kernel update package. Okay, this package we have to download, guys. Click on this. You see the package is getting in with the extension .msi file is getting downloaded. Okay, let's wait for this download to complete. I'll pause and resume the video, guys, once the download is ready to be installed. As you can see, the package has been now downloaded completely. Now let's install. Okay, so let's go to the folder where it got downloaded, this MSI file. Just double click, guys, it will not take much time. You see, it is very quick, right? Directly it's showing me the finish option. It got installed. Okay, that's it, guys. You don't have to do anything else. Okay, so better to restart your machine, guys. After installing this, better to restart your machine if you want to see the proper results. Fine. And after that, we'll go to the step 5 here, where we have to run this command. Okay, we have to run this command. Simply what I will do here is I'll copy this. Okay, I'll copy this command from here and here Windows search and I'll type PowerShell. Okay, and I'll get this Windows PowerShell. Once this is open, just right click here. Okay, let it load. Let it load, guys. It's loading. So I need to run this command in this PowerShell, guys. Okay, so when I right click, I got this command. Whatever the command I copied from this step 5, right? That came here. You see WSL set default version 2 is coming. Just press enter. The operation completed successfully. That's it. Close this PowerShell. Then finally, guys, to see whether this Windows subsystem for Linux, okay, has been really enabled or not. Okay, so why we have to enable this, guys? Okay, so in order to have Docker, okay, not to use Docker in our machine, right? We have to make sure that we can run Linux related stuff from the Windows machine. Okay, this is a Windows machine, but from this machine I have to run from this Windows machine I have to run Linux related stuff. Okay, so you see, Linux related stuff should be only running from the Linux operating system, right? But how can that be possible in Windows machine? But there is a possibility, guys. We have to enable this WSL2. Whatever the steps we have followed till now is for that purpose only. Okay, to enable the WSL2 so that we can run the Linux related stuff from the Windows machine. Okay, so how to check whether that WSL2 is enabled and I'm able to run the Linux stuff from the Windows machine? For that, guys, I'll be installing one of the one of the distributions of Linux, like some any operating system of Linux. Okay, so for that, guys, this is the link. Just click on this link once, or go here the same page, guys. Same this page. Just scroll down here. There are you can install your desired Linux distribution of choice. Step 6 is there. This one we already run, right? In the step 6, we can open the Microsoft Store and search for the required Linux distribution, or scroll down here. Direct links are also provided on this page. So I want to see this penguin, guys. Okay, penguin. Just click on this penguin. One of the Linux distributions, one of the Linux operating system flavor of Linux operating system we have. So it's saying we have to buy this, guys. I don't want to buy that. I want to try the free version then. So maybe open will be free. I mostly just click on this open. You see here currently not available. Okay, so let's try the other one. So what else we can try, guys? Free trial is there. I don't want free trial also. Yeah, this one. Let's see what is this. Even this one may not be available. Yeah, it's free, guys. Okay, so say Linux Enterprise Server 15ST1 is free. I'll click on the get, guys. It's asking me whether I have to open this Microsoft Store. Let the Microsoft Store open. So let's wait for the store to be open so that we can install the one of the Linux distribution in my Windows machine. You see, once this is there, I'll say click on get, guys. Okay, it will download and install. It will not take much time, guys. Okay, it will download and install. So fine. So after you have enabled the WSL2 in your Windows machine, then you will be entitled to use or run Linux related stuff from your Windows machine. So to check whether that is enabled or not, I have to try that, right? So for that, I'm downloading one of the Linux distributions like SUSE or something, Ubuntu or SUSE or whatever you want to have. You just download it and install. Okay. So in downloading is in progress. It's almost there, guys. Let's wait. 100 more MB need to be finished. Okay, 100 more MB. Let's wait. As you can see, it has been downloaded and installed, guys. Okay, let me click on the open, guys. Just click on the open. So it will take some time here. It will ask for the username and password. It will ask for the username and password. This is a Linux, so say enterprise Linux server. Okay, so okay, I don't have any registration code, guys. Okay, leave empty to skip registration. Okay, now it's asking for the Unix username. I'll give some username like Motori, and it's asking for the password, some random password 12345 I'm giving. Okay, it's bad password. It is saying I'll give a better password then. Okay, again I'll give the password, guys. Better password. Okay. Okay. Password updated successfully. Use same password for root user. Yes. A lot of options are coming. That's okay. Now, guys, it's giving me an option to run the, you see, Arun Motori desktop. From here, I can run the Linux commands and all those stuff. Okay. Now, the interface is now ready. Okay. So that means it has proven that WSL2 got enabled, and now we can use Windows machine for running the Linux commands and for using the Linux features. Okay. So why we have to enable this WSL2, and why we have to confirm that WSL2 is enabled, because for Docker software, this should be the prerequisite. Okay, this is one of the prerequisite for the Docker software where we should enable the WSL2. Otherwise, Docker software won't work. Okay. Now let's the time has come for us to download Docker in our Windows machine. So simply say download Docker on Windows. Now install Docker desktop on Windows. Click on this link, guys, and here Docker desktop for Windows. Click on that. You'll get the exe file getting downloaded. Okay, let's wait for the exe file to download. After that, we'll install the Docker software using the exe file and launch it. Okay. So let me pause and resume the video. As you can see, the Docker software has been downloaded. Now let's install this. Just double click on this exe file. Okay, it's loading. I got a dialog on my machine from the user access control. I'm just selecting yes, guys. See, the installation wizard has also started. So it will take, okay, so it's saying install required Windows components for WSL2. That's fine. Add shortcut to desktop. I don't want this shortcut, guys. I'm removing that. Say okay. It will take a while, guys. It will unpack the files. It will download the things and all those stuff. It will install and all. So let me pause and resume this video once this is done. Okay. As you can see, it is now installing, guys, and installation is also successful. Simply say close. That's it. We have now successfully installed Docker with the default settings in my machine. Uh, so if you want to launch it, simply click on the Windows search and simply say Docker here, and you'll get this Docker desktop app. Just click on this Docker desktop app, and it will launch in a while. For the first time, if you launch, when you launch, it will ask for the license agreement. Okay, let's see whether it will ask for the license agreement or not. Yeah, let's wait, guys. Okay, it will launch in a while. You see, as I mentioned, it will ask for the agreement. There is agreement. I accept and accept. Okay. Now it will launch the Docker. You see, it is launching now. And now the Docker software will start the Docker engine. Okay. So Docker desktop starting, it will say it will start the engine. So till then you cannot access any of this stuff. Okay. Let's wait for the Docker engine to start. It's still starting. Okay. Okay, guys, it's now done. The Docker engine has started now, and you can access this options. Okay, if you get this dialog, simply say skip tutorial, and fine. At this moment, there are no containers running, and there are no Docker images downloaded in my machine. So fine, containers are not there. No containers are at this moment running, and no Docker images got downloaded. Fine. So fine. So guys, next thing. Okay, so if you are new to Docker, right, you can watch my videos on Docker. Okay, there is a separate set of videos on Docker I have created. You can watch them. Now the next thing, guys, let's check this version of the Docker. Okay, open the command prompt here. The Windows search, type cmd, and you'll get this command prompt. In the command prompt, type this command, that is docker -v, and you see I got the version of the Docker. That means Docker has now been successfully installed in my machine. Okay, I got this Docker version. Fine. Okay. It's, if you want to restart your machine, you can restart, guys. Okay, because we have done some changes to this machine, and a lot of things happen. So if you want to restart, you can restart your machine after this step. Okay, post this step. Fine. Now, so why we have installed Docker, guys? Basically, why we have installed Docker here by following all these steps? Because it is one of the prerequisites for installing the Minikube, right? Without installing the Docker, we cannot install Minikube. That's why we have installed Docker, and Docker also has some prerequisites. We have checked all the prerequisites, we have did all the changes, and then finally when we have installed Docker, and now we are ready to install Minikube, right? Since the Docker is available as one of the prerequisites is available here, the last prerequisite is also done. Now we can install the Minikube. So how do you, but before, guys, before we download and install Minikube, first I will install and configure kubectl. Okay, it's a command line interface. Okay, what is this kubectl? It's a command line interface using which we can interact with the Kubernetes cluster. Okay. Using this kubectl, we can interact with the Kubernetes cluster. So how to get this kubectl command line interface? For that, guys, I have to simply say, uh, here I'll simply say search installing minikube. Simply go here and say install minikube, install minikube. Type this install minikube, and you have to go to this link, guys, kubernetes.io link, okay, in the search results. Okay, so I'm getting this minikube dot something, but I should not go there. I should be going to this kubernetes.io docs task tool. This link I have to go. After going to this link, guys, here, as you can see, kubectl is there under the install tools, and my machine is Windows machine, so I have to download this kubectl for Windows. Click on this install kubectl on Windows. So again, this page has come when I clicked on that link. Again, scroll down, guys. Here, somewhere here, you will find a link, guys. Okay. So download the latest version of kubectl for Windows. Okay. Click on this. It will download the kubectl. It will not take much time. Just seconds. It will be done. Let's wait for the next step. After you get this kubectl.exe, so let it download completely, guys. It has not downloaded it. Almost there. Yeah, it's now downloaded. Let's go to the place where it got downloaded. Okay, I'll copy this, guys. I'll copy this exe file. I'll not install this. I have to copy this. Okay, I have to copy this file, and I'll go to one place in my machine. Say C drive. I'll go here. I'll create a folder, guys. I'll create a folder. I'll say uh, kubectl. Okay, some folder name. Some folder name I am giving like kubectl, and here I'm pasting, guys. I'm pasting that exe file that just now I have downloaded from the website, right? I'm pasting that. I'll copy this path. I'll copy this path, and I'll go to the environment variables in my machine. Here I'll say edit. The moment I typed edit, right, edit system environment, you can type that, okay, to get this option, edit the system environment variables. Click on that, and you'll get this dialog, system properties dialog. Now here, the advanced tab, somewhere you see this environment variables. Click on that. Now go to the under system variables, find the path, guys. Okay, find the path. Click on edit. Now say new here and paste the folder path of this kubectl.exe. Just give the folder path, guys, where this kubectl.exe file is available. Say okay and say okay. Okay, done. That's it, guys. So these are a few steps. So we have set the path for this exe file of kubectl. Now let's open the command prompt and let's execute this kubectl command. Open the command prompt and type kube. Okay, kubectl and enter. You see, you are getting different commands of kubectl, right? You are getting uh, controls the Kubernetes cluster manager, and a lot of commands of the kubectl are coming like create, run. Okay, so delete. There will be something like stop also. Okay, many things will be there. So many commands of this Kubernetes are coming here. Okay, fine. Fine. Okay. Now the time has come for us to install minikube, guys. Okay. Once this kubectl is now there and we can see, we can, right? We can have verified that whether it got successfully configured or not. Now let's download and install minikube. For that, again, we have to say install minikube. Here, Google search for install minikube. Install minikube. This time we'll go to this minikube page. Okay. Select minikube link from the search results this time, and you'll be taken here, guys. Scroll down. You see all these requirements are already satisfied, right? 2 CPUs or more, 2 GB of free memory, 20 GB internet connection, and any of the container platforms like Docker or any other stuff can be there here. I have installed Docker as I showed you. Now scroll down here, and how to install this minikube. You have to select the operating system in which you have to install. Mine is Windows, so already Windows is selected. I don't have to select again. And here, download the latest release option is there. Okay, 64 or 86 stable and exe file. These options are selected, and now click on the latest release. You see it's downloading the minikube installer, and it didn't take much time. So Go here and we have to install it, guys. Okay, double click and install that Minikube software. So download the latest release of Minikube and install it. Okay, let's install it. Just double click on this Minikube installer. I got a user access control dialog. I'm selecting yes. You see installation wizard started. I have to select the language as English. Say okay. Click on next. Accept the agreement. Here is the place in my machine under the program files under the Kubernetes folder. Minikube will be installed. Click on install. Okay. Completed, guys. Click on next. Click on finish. Done. That's it. Okay. Minikube has been now installed in my machine. Okay. Now let's find the Minikube version, guys. Okay. So once it is installed, let's find the Minikube version. So CMD, which version of Minikube we have installed? Let's see. Run this command Minikube version. You see, we got the version of the Minikube. This is a version of the Minikube that has been now installed in my machine. Latest version of Minikube is as per today's date is 1.24.0. Okay. Now next one. Okay. So if you want to find the commands of Minikube, simply here you can say Minikube help. Okay. You see, you'll get all the commands of Minikube, which you can use for Kubernetes and all those stuff, starting the Kubernetes cluster, deleting the cluster and all those stuff. Okay. A lot of things are there. A lot of commands are there. Don't have to go through all the commands now. Anyhow, I'll be explaining all these commands here. Fine. Now let's find the status of the Minikube, guys. Okay. Uh, so before I have not started the Minikube, guys. I just installed the Minikube and I'm checking the versions and commands. I have not started the Minikube. So before I start the Minikube, guys, I'll say clear here. CLS otherwise. CLS will clear the commands. And now here, I will check the status of the Minikube. Okay. So Minikube. I have not started the Minikube, but I will check the status. So see what it is saying, guys. Minikube status when I say it's saying no such container Minikube and all those things are coming, right? So because I have not started the Minikube. So this now let's start the Minikube, guys. Okay, now let's start the Minikube. So in the command prompt, I'll say CLS again, and in the command prompt, when I run this command Minikube start, okay, Minikube internally uses Docker containers to run the Kubernetes cluster, guys. Okay, that's the reason Docker was one of the prerequisites for Minikube because with the help of Docker only, Minikube will run the Kubernetes cluster. Okay. So in our machine to set up this Kubernetes cluster in our personal machine, we need Minikube, and Minikube internally uses the Docker containers to run this Kubernetes cluster or set up the Kubernetes cluster. Like that is master node and worker nodes. All that setup will be done by the Minikube in our local machine, and those nodes and all those things will be created on the Docker containers and all. Okay, so if you are not aware of what are master nodes and worker nodes in Kubernetes cluster and all those stuff, right? Go to my previous session on this series where I explained the complete architecture of the Kubernetes. Okay, so with that knowledge, you can understand this more. So guys, later, let me now start the Minikube. Guys, okay, Minikube start first. Okay, Minikube start. So let's wait. Minikube using the Docker. You see, it's internally using the Docker to set up the mini Kubernetes cluster in my personal machine, personal computer. It's pulling the base image and all those stuff. Let's wait, guys. Let's wait. Okay, will take some time. Just wait. And now once this done, cube, okay, we'll run this command. That is Minikube status, and we'll run to see what is the status of the Minikube. After we start the Minikube, will check the status of the Minikube once again. Okay. I'll pass and resume, guys, in a while. It's saying Docker Minikube container is missing. We'll create. Okay. It's creating the container for this Minikube. It's now creating the Docker container with 2 CPUs and this much of memory. Let's wait for this process to complete. I'll pass and resume, guys, so that your time won't be wasted. Now it's preparing the Kubernetes on Docker container. As you can see, the process is done, right? kubectl is now configured to use minikube cluster and default namespace by default. Okay, it enabled a lot of stuff, and yeah, that's fine. Now things are good. Now let's run this command, guys. As I was mentioning, right? Minikube status. Let's run that command here to see what is the status. Minikube status. Earlier we got some error and all. Now we should not get that error. You see, when I run that command, minikube status, you see minikube is coming here. Okay, it's running. Kubelet is running. API server is running. These are the components, guys. Okay, these are the components of Kubernetes. Okay, if you have gone through my previous session on Kubernetes architecture, you'll understand all these things like what is kubelet and all those stuff. What is API server and all those stuff. Okay, these are few components of the Kubernetes. Okay, fine. So things are configured and running. Fine. Now, later point, you have used this command to start the minikube. But if you want to stop the minikube or delete the minikube completely from your machine, then this is the thing. Okay, these are the commands, but we are not going to run these commands now. And also, guys, if I open this Docker, okay, Docker software here, you see at this moment, minikube container is now running in my machine. And to create this container, right, to create this container, this Docker image has been now downloaded. Okay, has been downloaded. When I say start minikube, right, when I say start minikube start, right, this Docker image has been downloaded for the minikube, and that using that Docker image, a container has been created and is currently running in my machine. Okay, fine. Now, guys, next one. Now let's access the Kubernetes cluster. Okay, so let's understand the Kubernetes. Now we can start running the Kubernetes commands, guys. So all the commands of Kubernetes. Okay, so a lot of commands are there. Let's run the Kubernetes commands now. So for that, here, guys, I will say CLS. Okay, CLS, and I'll run these commands. Okay. So this is for accessing the Kubernetes cluster, like what kind of cluster has been set up on our local or personal computer. Okay, in my personal computer, Kubernetes cluster has been set up by Minikube. So what is that cluster? I want to see the cluster actually. Okay, how the Kubernetes cluster is set up. For that, I have to run this command, guys. Kubectl, kubectl followed by get po -a. Okay, this is a command, guys, to access the Kubernetes cluster that has been set up by Minikube in my machine. Run that. So see, this is what is okay, cluster, guys. Okay, so this many things are there, namespaces and all those stuff. Okay, so etcd open source database is there, API server, one of the component which is responsible for communication, the Kubernetes cluster. Okay, this is a component for of Kubernetes which is responsible for overall communication in the Kubernetes cluster. Controller manager is there. Okay, so scheduler is there. All these are the components, guys. If you have gone through my previous session on the Kubernetes architecture, right, you will understand all these components. Okay, fine. So we can access the Kubernetes cluster now. That's fine. So we can get the information about the Kubernetes cluster. Okay, so let's get more information about this kubectl. Is another command, guys, to get the information on the Kubernetes cluster that has been set up by Minikube in my machine. So Kubernetes control plane is running at this URL, and core DNS is running at this URL. Okay. So this is what you got. And if you want more information, guys, as you see, to further debug and diagnose cluster problems, use. If you want more information or to diagnose or debug purpose, you have to add this dump at the end. Okay. Along with this command, you have to add dump, guys. Okay. So I'll add the same command at the end. I'll say dump. You'll get more information, guys. Okay. You'll get more information. What are the parts list, and okay. So a lot of things are there. Okay. Service list. See here somewhere replication controller list is there. A lot of things are there. Okay. Very big list. Fine. You don't have to understand all these things anyhow. Now let's find out how many nodes are there. Okay. What are the nodes? Okay. In generally in Kubernetes cluster, right, we'll have the nodes. Okay. Master and worker nodes will be there. Let's see what are again the same thing, guys. In the previous session, I explained about the Kubernetes architecture. If you have understood that Kubernetes architecture, then you'll understand what exactly are the nodes are. So let's see how to get these nodes. kubectl get nodes. Okay, kubectl get nodes. Let's see what are the nodes. You see only one node is there. Single node. This is actually minikube node. Okay, it's a master node. You see, it's a master node. Fine. Now let's deploy some application, guys. Okay, so let's deploy some sample application. So why we need the Kubernetes cluster to be set up in our machine so that we can deploy some application onto this cluster, right? Okay, to set up some application, to deploy some application onto this containers that are running in this Kubernetes cluster, right? That's the main requirement, right? That's why we have set up all this Kubernetes and all those stuff, okay, in our local machine. So let's deploy some sample application, guys. The name of the sample application I'm trying to deploy on this Kubernetes cluster in my machine is hello minikube is the name of the application. Okay, so to deploy that, guys, this is the command. Okay, this is the command we have to use. kubectl create deployment and name of the application I want to deploy on the Kubernetes cluster, and followed by hyphen hyphen image of this particular application, image of this particular thing. Okay, so copy this, guys. Okay, I don't have to think much. Copy this and come back here and simply say run. Right click. Sorry, the command has not been copied, guys. Let me copy it again and right click here. You'll get the command. Okay, run this. Deployments.app hello minikube created. It got created, guys. As simple as that. So later part, if you want to remove this application, okay, then you have to run this command, guys. Okay, later part, when you don't want this sample application running on this Kubernetes cluster, right? Then you can remove this. Okay, to remove this application from the Kubernetes cluster, you have to use this command. Now, guys, let's say kubectl get pods. Okay, on okay, so kubectl. Okay, what are parts and all I have explained as part of the previous videos, guys. You can go to the Kubernetes architecture and understand again. kubectl get pods. You see, hello minikube. You see, whatever the application I'm right, whatever the application I deployed on the Kubernetes cluster, right? For that, a pod has been created. In that pod, containers will be running, right? So one or more containers will be running on this particular pods. Okay, this is a pod actually. Hello minikube. This is the pod. Okay, it is running now. Fine. Now let's expose the above deployment on other port number. Okay, by default it is running on maybe on there's no port number where it is actually running. So let's expose this. Let's move this application to run on a particular port number on Kubernetes cluster. So 8182. Let's say 8182 is the port number we want to do that. So kubectl expose deployment. Hello minikube. This is a command, guys. Okay, this is a command. kubectl expose deployment. This hello minikube app application that we have just now deployed, we have to expose that onto this port number. Okay, we have to run this on the port number. Okay, so this is a command, guys. Copy this, right click and share. Okay, sorry, right click, it's not coming. Let me copy it again and right click here. I got the command, run it. Okay, now it will say service hello minikube application expose. Okay, so now again run the same command kubectl get pods. Okay, this was a command, right? Earlier we have run this command. You see, this time it's running. Okay, it's running, guys, no problem. And so it's still running and it has been exposed onto the other port number anyhow. Now next one, check the deployed applications that are running on Kubernetes cluster. What are the whatever the deployed applications that are running on the Kubernetes cluster? What is the command? kubectl get services and this particular application. Okay, this particular application that is deployed onto the Kubernetes cluster. If you want to check that where it is running and all, you can run this command kubectl cls kubectl get services hello hyphen minikube. Okay, hello hyphen minikube like this and say enter. You see it's exposed on which port number, guys? 8182, right? You see it's running on the port number 8182. Fine. Now we have checked the deployed applications that are currently running on the Kubernetes cluster. At this moment, only one application is running on this Kubernetes cluster. That is nothing but hello minikube application that we have just now deployed using the previous commands. Now, guys, let's use okay. Let's take the advantage of this application that is deployed and running on the Kubernetes cluster. So let's use one of the service of this application. So this is one sample command, guys. Okay, you don't have to remember this. kubectl service minikube. Okay, so request a service from this deploy application using the sample, which will open the browser, guys. Okay, so this allow minikube is designed in such a this application is designed in such a way that when you request a service from that, hello minikube, it will open the browser. Okay, it will open some sample request will open in the browser. Okay, let's see that whether it is opening or not, so that we can see whether this application is responding and whatever the request we are putting to this application, right? It's serving or not. Let's see. Okay, so kubectl service minikube, kubectl service mini hyphen cube. Okay, run this. Okay. I think there's some mistake here, no? Kubectl unknown command service for kubectl. Okay, kubectl service, and there's a mistake, I guess, guys. Okay, here I said minikube, it should be hello minikube. Okay, the application name is wrong here. Minikube. Okay, kubectl service hello minikube. Okay, this is also unknown. Kubectl. What is the problem here? Let service copy this. Okay, maybe no worries. Let's see what I am doing wrong here. Okay, this is a wrong command it is saying. So I'll check about this hello minikube once in the Google. See what is the problem with the command. Let's see. This is a hello minikube application, guys, that we have just now deployed on the Kubernetes cluster, and how to use that actually. Deployments, get pods, applicate events. A lot of things are there. We exposed it. That's fine. Get services. We said came to say hello node. Kubectl get services. Let's say first. Then we got this hello minikube is coming here, right? Okay. Then I have to simply say kubectl. Okay, here I have to say this command I have to run, guys. Okay, it should be minikube service. Okay, minikube service. Okay, so what is the command I have typed here? Let's see in the notes. It's not kubectl service minikube. It is a minikube service. Something is different is there. Let's see this command, guys. Okay, let's try this command once. There's some problem with this, right? Minikube service and name of the application that is running. Okay, name of the service that is running. Here, hello minikube is running. So here I'll say minikube service, and here I have to give this name of the application, hello minikube. Okay, run this. This time if it opens the browser, that means everything is fine. Okay, starting tunnel and all those stuff is happening. You see, it has opened the service. One of the service of the hello minikube, it opened here. The site can't be reached anyhow, no problem. But it is working fine now. This, you see, it has opened the service of the hello minikube. It has opened in the default browser in my machine. Okay, fine. So that's it. I think I need to update this thing, guys. Okay, I'll update this with minikube service hello minikube. Okay, there's a mistake in this command. Now you see you have worked out all the stuff, right? How to deploy an application on the Kubernetes cluster and how to run the service of that particular application that got deployed on the Kubernetes cluster. Everything we have seen. Now, guys, ultimately what I will do is at the end we have to stop the minikube, and if we don't want to use this minikube later, right? We can simply delete also. Okay. So let's do this. First, let's stop this. Okay. CMD. I'll stop this minikube cluster from running from in my machine. So minikube, I'll say stop. We'll stop the minikube. Stopping node minikube. Powering off minikube. Done. Okay, it has been one node stopped. And go here and see. Okay, it has been stopped. You see, minikube is not running now. It's in grayed out state and it's stopped. Okay, images is there. Images are there, but container has been stopped with this command known as minikube stop. What if I say minikube delete? It will be deleted from my machine, right? Minikube delete. The container need to be deleted from my machine. Deleting container minikube. Let's wait for the container to get deleted from my machine. So remove all the traces of Minikube cluster from my machine. At this moment, no Minikube cluster is running in my machine now because we deleted it. Click on this, you see containers, no containers running. Images, there is an image still there, guys. Okay. If you want to delete this image also, container is anyhow not running. But if you want to remove this image, click on these three dots and say remove. You see the image has also been removed. Now my system is completely clean. Okay. Fine. So hope guys you understood okay, how to practice Kubernetes in your personal machine by setting up Kubernetes cluster using the Minikube. Okay, this is a process, guys. So that's it, guys. Thank you. Bye. Hello all. Welcome to part 15 of Kubernetes Made Easy tutorial. In this session, I'm going to explain and practically demonstrate how to set up Selenium Grid on Kubernetes. And thereafter, I'll show you how to run Selenium automation scripts on this Kubernetes cluster. So let's get started. First of all, what is Kubernetes? In the previous sessions of this series, I've already covered and explained Kubernetes in a detailed manner. But let me explain this Kubernetes in a simplest way now. Kubernetes, in simple terms, is a container management tool which manages a group of containers. Okay, it's a container management tool which manages a group, that is a cluster of containers. Now, let me explain the advantages, the different advantages or benefits of setting up Selenium Grid on Kubernetes. On setting up Selenium Grid on Kubernetes, we will get the below benefits like we'll get the scalable containers, we'll get the self-healing containers, we'll get, we don't have to maintain much guys, okay, because Kubernetes will manage all the containers. So less maintenance will be there, okay, and better utilized containers, okay. So so traffic and load will be better utilized and diverted to the proper containers. Everything will be managed by Kubernetes, guys. We don't have to worry anything about. Okay. Simply on setting up Selenium Grid on Kubernetes, Kubernetes will take care of all the containers, right? Will make the container scalable and self-healing containers will be there. Okay, which you know they will not. Okay, they will repair themselves and be available all the time. Then less maintenance. Okay, we don't have to maintain much because Kubernetes maintains them, then better utilized. Okay, so our scripts will be optimized way they will be running. Okay, our scripts will be running on an optimized way on these containers because they will be better utilized and high available containers. Okay, all the time the containers will be available, guys. They will not go down. So these are the several benefits we get by setting up Selenium Grid on Kubernetes. Now let me show you how the architecture looks like after setting up Selenium Grid on Kubernetes. Okay, on setting up Selenium Grid on Kubernetes, this is how it looks like. Okay, the architecture will look like this. Let me reduce the size so that you can see. Okay, fine, guys. So this is the thing, guys. Okay, so as you can see, so all these things I've already covered in the previous sessions, guys. Okay, while explaining the Kubernetes, right? Explained what is a master. Okay, what is a right, what is a master and worker node, all these things I explained. Okay, so here we have the master which have the components like scheduler, API server, control manager, and etcd, which is a open source database here. Okay, API server takes care of the communication. Okay, scheduler schedules the pods onto the appropriate nodes and all like that. Okay, so controller manager will take check whether all the containers are running, are available all the time. Okay, correct number of containers are there, like that many things are there. Okay, these are the components of master in simplest fashion. And here, guys, so what we do in this Kubernetes is, okay, we will deploy Selenium Hub first. Okay, so first we'll deploy the Selenium Hub on this Kubernetes. Okay, so once we deploy the Selenium Hub on this Kubernetes, you see Selenium Hub will be running on a particular pod, guys. Okay, inside a container of the pod, Selenium Hub will be running. You see here the Selenium Hub is there. This is one of the worker node. One of the worker node will be assigned to the Selenium Hub, and Selenium Hub will be running on the container which is there inside this pod. Okay, so this is what happens, guys. Okay, again, next thing is, and we have to also deploy something known as Kubernetes service, guys. Okay, we have to deploy something known as Kubernetes service. Okay, which also runs on another worker node or whatever it is. And what is the use of this service? For connecting the nodes to this hub. Okay, in the Kubernetes cluster, for connecting the this Chrome node, Firefox node, okay, where that automation scripts have to run. This is the hub, right? So this container will be treated as a hub, whereas these containers will be treated as nodes in the Selenium grid. Okay. So for this containers to get connected to this hub, okay, for these nodes to get connected to the hub, we need to deploy something known as, in this Kubernetes architecture, we need to deploy something known as Kubernetes service. Via the Kubernetes service only, these nodes will be connected to the hub. That's where the Selenium grid will be set up. Okay, done. So that means once we deploy the Selenium hub on this Kubernetes cluster, and also after we deploy this Kubernetes service on the Kubernetes cluster, and thereafter we need to deploy, okay, thereafter we need to deploy the respective Selenium Chrome nodes and Selenium Firefox, okay, containers, okay, containers containing the Selenium Chrome and Selenium Firefox or any other browsers we need to deploy. Okay, these are the nodes, guys. Okay, this is the hub, these are the nodes, the Selenium grid. So we have to deploy everything and along with the service. So without service, nodes will not be connected to the hub. So Selenium grid setup will not be formed without service. So that's why first deploy the Selenium hub, thereafter deploy the Kubernetes service, thereafter deploy the nodes, worker nodes. Okay, so Selenium grid nodes, that is Selenium Chrome and Selenium Firefox. This is one of the container for Selenium Firefox. This is another container for Selenium Chrome. Like that, you can deploy. Fine. Now the master will manage all these worker nodes. Okay, there are two worker nodes here. When one worker node hub is there, and in another worker node this okay. So Selenium grid nodes are there. Selenium grid nodes are there. Okay. So master will manage all these things for us. Okay, and they are scalable, self-healing. All the advantages are there, right? They're available all the time. So less maintainable, better utilized. Everything master will take care of for worker nodes. It will assign the task properly and manage all the stuff. Okay, fine. So this is architecture, how it looks like after setting up Selenium grid on Kubernetes. Okay. Now let's go without wasting any more time, guys. This theory is over, guys. Okay, this is all about the theory now. But let's do a practical demonstration. Okay. So how to set up Selenium grid on Kubernetes. For that, this is the practical steps, guys. We have to follow them one by one. So there is one prerequisite for this, guys. Okay, before I start explaining this, there is a prerequisite. The prerequisite is covered in the previous session, guys. Okay, in the earlier session of this particular series, so this is the part 14, part 15, right? Okay, this is a part 15 of Kubernetes Made Easy tutorial series. The part 14, guys. In the part 14, that is the previous session of the series, I already explained how to install Minikube, kubectl, and Docker softwares, which are required for this demonstration. Okay, for setting up Selenium Grid on Kubernetes, Minikube, kubectl, and Docker need to be installed in your machine. Okay, in your machine, Minikube, kubectl, and Docker should be installed and be ready as explained in the previous session. Okay, so watch the previous session and get these things ready before coming here, guys. Okay, that's the prerequisite, guys. Now, assuming that you have installed Minikube, kubectl, and Docker as explained in the previous session, okay, I'll start the practical demonstration of setting up Selenium grid on Kubernetes cluster now. First, we have to start the Minikube. How to start the Minikube, guys? For that, I need to open the command prompt. Okay, open the command prompt. Simply type in the Windows search, type CMD. You'll get this command prompt. In the command prompt, type Minikube followed by start. Okay, this will start the Minikube. So after the Minikube is installed, then only we can start it, guys. Okay, the first step is a prerequisite, which is explained already in the previous session. So it will take a while, guys. It will take a while to start the Minikube. If any things are required, it will download. Okay, it will create the containers and all those stuff. Okay, you see, it's pulling some images. Okay, some images required, creating Docker container. It's creating some containers out of these images and all. So it will take a while. Okay, I'll pause and resume the video just to save your time. Now it's preparing the Kubernetes. It will also take some time. You see, it's doing something here. Let me pause and resume again. Yeah, it's done, guys. Okay, now we have the Minikube started. So what next? After starting the Minikube, what we have to do next? Second thing is, let's check the Kubernetes dashboard. Okay, let's check the Kubernetes dashboard, guys. We have to type this command. The problem here is this command will not work if you run this in a normal command prompt. You have to open this command prompt in administration mode. Then only this command is going to work. If I directly run this command here in this normally opened command prompt, right, it will not open the dashboard. Okay, so for that, guys, simply say CMD, and while the command prompt app is displayed here, right click on this and run as administrator. Okay, then only this command is going to work. Open this command prompt as an administrator. Okay. User access control dialog came. I'm just selecting yes. You see, this is a command that has been now opened in the admin mode. Okay, administration mode. Now, if you run this command, it will work. Otherwise, it will not work. Okay. So let's type this command minikube followed by dashboard. Okay. Minikube followed by dashboard. Press enter. It will open the dashboard for us. Kubernetes dashboard will be displayed, guys, in a while. Let's wait. Not take much time, so we can wait here. Launching proxy, verifying the proxy health. Okay, that's okay. So in a while, the dashboard will be opened for us. So this is administration mode, guys. This is a normal mode. You see, normal command prompt is there, but in this command prompt, you see administrator is there. Okay, that means this command prompt has been opened in the administration mode. Fine. Let's wait for some more time for it to trigger that and open the Kubernetes dashboard in the browser. It's still verifying the proxy health somehow. So I will close this, guys. Again, I will open. Okay, because it's taking time. So again, I will open this in administrator mode. Sometimes it happens. Okay, so it's not opening. Just open it again. Command prompt in the administrator mode and say minikube dashboard. It won't take much time, guys. If it's taking time, simply restart this command prompt again in the administrator mode, and let's see how much time it will take this time. You see, it's directly opening, right? Last time it was taking time. So I just simply restarted the command prompt in the administrator mode. And this is a Kubernetes dashboard, guys. This is a Kubernetes dashboard. You see, there is nothing to display here because we have not deployed anything or so, right? We have not deployed the Selenium hub, or we have not deployed the Selenium grid nodes, whatever it is. Nothing got deployed here. So workloads is 0 and all those stuff are there. You can see the state prod parts. You see there are no pods, right? There are no parts and nothing. Okay, just click on the nodes. You see one node is there, right? That is minikube. Minikube is running here, right? So in there is one node known as minikube. So minikube is running in that particular node. Okay, so fine. So this is what is the use of the Kubernetes dashboard, guys. Okay, you can see what is going on. Okay, on the Kubernetes cluster here. At this moment, there is nothing to display here, and there are no parts, but there is one minikube node. And also, you can see one more thing. Just open this Docker desktop software, guys. Docker desktop software. You can see the something there also. Okay, the Docker software also. When you launch the Docker software, you can see the minikube running in the Docker software. Okay, whatever the minikube that is running here, right? That you can even see in the Docker software. Uh, so just close this. That is a tip. Okay. You see here, guys, container. Some container is already running. Minikube container is already running. The to run this container already in my machine, when I have simply stated minikube start, right? Okay, the Docker image for this minikube has been downloaded, and also the container for the minikube is already running. Okay, this is what you can see. This is the current status, guys. Okay, before I deployed the Selenium hub and then Selenium nodes, grid nodes. Okay, onto this Kubernetes, that is the current status. Okay, we don't have anything here. Fine. Now let's deploy, guys. Now let's deploy the Selenium hub on Kubernetes pod. Okay, so how to deploy the Selenium hub? So for that, this is a command, guys. Okay, so from where I got this command, I'll tell you. So in the Google, search for Selenium. Okay, search for Selenium, say Docker, and say GitHub like this. Okay, just three terms: Selenium, Docker, GitHub like that. You will get this GitHub link for Docker Selenium. Click on that, and yeah, you'll be taken to this page. Scroll down until you see something known as deploying to Kubernetes kind of thing. Okay, just keep on scrolling until you see deploying to Kubernetes. So yeah, deploying to Kubernetes. Okay, this is the section you have to go. And in this section, guys, there is a link here. Check out the Kubernetes examples is there. Open this. Okay, open this in the new tab. Now here in this particular page, you see there are a lot of stuff here. There are some explanations also. You don't have to go with this explanation because anyhow I'm explaining. So first thing is that we have to deploy this hub, guys. Okay, this one. There is some YAML file, right? So open this in new tab. Selenium hub deployment .yml. Open this in new tab. And when you open that in new tab, you'll get this kind of stuff. Okay, a lot of contents are there, right? YAML file contents are there here. So we don't have to do anything here. Simply copy them. Okay. To copy this contents of this YAML file, just click on this copy option, copy raw contents. Click on that. You see it got copied. Now open some editor, Notepad or Notepad++ in your machine, and here add the things. Okay. Just add the contents. Whatever the contents you copied from that YAML file, right, on the GitHub page, that you copy here, and without doing any changes, simply say file, save as. Where I want to save, so choose some location where you want to save, guys. I'll save in my downloads, okay, because there it's kind of clean here. So I'll save in the downloads folder. You can save anywhere, and here I'll say Kubernetes Selenium Grid setup. Okay, some folder name I'm giving some randomly. Open this folder, guys. Inside this folder, with what name I will store is the same name I'll give. Selenium hub deployment. Okay, give the same name. Selenium hub deployment. Selenium hub deployment .yml. Okay, this is the extension. And here save as type as all types and save it. The file is saved. What next? The next is we have to also save the other things. Okay, close this one. This one is done. Close this again. On this page, after this Selenium hub deployment .yml thing, right? We have something known as, these are Selenium hub, guys. If you want to deploy the Selenium Grid Hub. Okay, these are the instructions that are there in the YAML file. Okay, we have not deployed it. We just created the file YAML file in our machine. In that downloads folder, some extra folder I created. There I created this YAML file in my local machine. Second thing is this service. I told you in the architecture here, right? After deploying the hub, we have to deploy the Kubernetes service, right? For this, guys, for this. So this is the link. Okay, open this YAML file again. Open this link for the YAML file, and again you will have some more contents about this Selenium hub service. Copy them. Same process, guys. Open new tab. Okay, and paste the contents of that Selenium hub service here, and say file, save as. This time save them again into the same location, downloads folder. In that folder, give that name. What is the name here? We have Selenium hub svc.yml. Okay, Selenium hub svc.yml. If I am correct, yes. Save all types. Okay, save as type as all types and save it. This is also done now. So at this moment, guys, if you go to the downloads folder, two files are already created. If you see in my downloads folder, you go to the downloads here. In this particular folder, there are two files, two YAML files already created. These are the two YAML files. We have to create few more YAML files, guys. Again, close this one for this service, whatever that is YAML file. That is close that one. And after these two things, here we can create this uh, Chrome. Okay, so Selenium Grid node for Chrome. Okay, Selenium Grid node for Firefox. We can do that, but the problem here is we cannot create many things, guys. Okay, because memory problem. Okay, this is my local machine, right? It doesn't have so much of configuration. Okay, so general configurations are like 8 GB RAM and all those 4 CPUs are like that. But to set up the Kubernetes, right, we need very bigger kind of machines having more higher configurations. Okay, but just for a sample, guys. Okay, instead of going behind the things, so I'll only take, instead of taking both Node Chrome and Node Firefox, right, I'll only show you Node Chrome. Okay, you can also do these things for Firefox also you can do, but I'll just stop with the Chrome. Okay, because that needs more resources, guys. To have multiple things, right, it will require more resources. Okay, so as a sample, I'll go with this YAML file for Selenium Grid Node Chrome deployment. And here again contents are there. Copy these contents, guys. Copy them for Selenium Node Chrome. And again here the Notepad++ paste the contents. And there is one more thing, guys. Here replicas 2 means two Chrome nodes. Okay, two Selenium Node Chromes. But here the problem I told you again, right? My laptop is not suitable for higher configurations, right? It's not a higher configured laptop, so it doesn't have so much of configuration. So let's reduce the number. Okay, I'm just show you the sample. That's it. Okay, in my machine is not suitable for complete creating the complete Kubernetes cluster and all. Okay, we need better machines. Okay, fine. Anyhow, just for the sample and just to see how the things are working and how we can run Selenium automation scripts on Selenium Grid that got set up on the Kubernetes cluster. let me go with the sample. I will change the replicas to one, means only one Selenium grid node for Chrome will be there on the Kubernetes cluster. Okay, one Selenium hub and one Selenium grid node. Okay, for Chrome will be there where you can run your scripts on the Chrome browser. So replicas change it to one, guys, from 2 to 1. And here file, save as, go to the same location in your downloads in the same folder. Here give the same name. So Selenium hyphen node hyphen Chrome, Selenium hyphen node, Selenium hyphen node hyphen Chrome hyphen deployment dot YAML. Okay, and save it as all types. Done. 3 YAML files I created, guys, in my downloads in one of the folder. So from this location where these YAML files are available, open the command prompt. Okay, select this location and say CMD. Okay, select this location and say CMD. You see the command prompt has been opened from the place where these YAML files are available. That is inside the Kubernetes Selenium grid setup folder. These are available under the downloads. Okay, so command prompt has directly opened from here. This is a shortcut. Now let's follow the instructions, guys. Okay, this part is done, guys. We'll close all this stuff. Not required now. So come back here. Now let's deploy. Okay, let's deploy. So how to deploy, guys? For deploying also, here in these examples, they have given some examples, guys. Okay, so the commands are given here. You can see here. If you want to deploy the Selenium Grid Hub, then you have to write the command like this: kubectl create hyphen hyphen file name is equal to, and the name of the file followed by extension. You have to give that. Okay, this is a command, guys. Okay, so this will create, this will deploy the Selenium Grid Hub onto the Kubernetes cluster. So for that, instead here either hyphen hyphen file name I can give, or I can give simply hyphen hub followed by the name of the file and the name of the YAML file and the extension of the YAML file. I'll give simply like this. Okay, instead of giving that much big, I'll simply give like this. So I opened the command prompt, guys, from this folder. Okay, from this folder I opened the command prompt, and this is how it is. You see, the location is Kubernetes Selenium grid setup. Okay, here I'll run the commands kubectl, okay, create hyphen f followed by the name of the thing that you want to deploy. I want to first deploy the Selenium hub, guys, so I'll go with Selenium hyphen hub hyphen deployment dot YAML. Okay, YAML kubectl create hyphen f Selenium hyphen hub hyphen deployment dot YAML. Okay, so you should get a proper message. You see, Selenium hub has been deployed successfully. Okay, now go to the dashboard once, Kubernetes dashboard that we have earlier launched. So it's still in the pending process, guys. It will take some time to, write deploy. Okay, just refresh, keep refreshing here and see. If it is in green color, that means it got successfully deployed. Okay, not it. It's still in pending state, guys. Let's wait for that to get deployed completely. So it's deploying, guys. At this moment, the Selenium hub is getting deployed onto the Kubernetes cluster. Okay. So once it is deployed, we can see these circles in green color. So let me refresh again. Not it. Let me pause and resume the video, guys, once it turns green. You see, after a while, guys, the deployment has been successfully done, guys. Okay, and it's currently running. You see, Selenium hub is running on the Kubernetes cluster now. Okay, so you can select the parts here. Now, earlier there were no parts here, right? Now you can see the part that is currently running. So Selenium hub, okay, is running now on the Kubernetes. Again, let's go to the workloads, and we can see the entire status. That's fine. Now, one of the thing is deployed, guys. Now let's move on to the next one. Let's now, I told you as per the explanation, right, of setting up Selenium Grid Kubernetes architecture, right? We have to set up this service so that nodes, the later nodes, whatever I'm going to, okay, grid nodes, whatever I'm going to deploy, right? If they have to get connected to the hub, right, the service has to be run. So for that, I'll deploy this service, guys. Okay. So how to deploy the service? And here, you see, here we have the commands, guys. Okay. On this page, if you go to this examples page, right, here we have the commands for the service also. You see, this is the one, guys, right? Same command, guys, just the file name of the YAML file is different. Okay, so so let's do one thing. I'll just do like this: kubectl create. Here I'll give the name of that other one. Okay, that is Selenium hyphen hub hyphen svc. Copy this and right click and paste it here and say dot YAML and run this. You see, service is also created. Now go back here to the dashboard again and refresh again, guys. Okay, so it will not show you much. Okay, it will not show you much. That's okay. So next one, guys, service is deployed. That's okay because anyhow we got the confirmation here. That's fine. Now you will see the difference in kind of grid nodes. Okay, Selenium grid nodes when we deploy. So as I mentioned, guys, we cannot deploy multiple grid nodes. Okay, we cannot deploy multiple grid nodes onto the Kubernetes because you see because of the kind of my machine configurations are not that much high. Okay, which cannot support that many number of kind of things. So I'll only set up one grid node as a sample. Okay, so that is that too for the Selenium container containing Selenium Chrome. Okay, where scripts can execute on the Chrome browser. Okay, that kind of Docker container you can say. So this is a command, guys. This is a command again saying kubectl create -f and the name of the Chrome node and YAML file. Okay, so again go here and open this. Just run the command, guys. Okay, here at the end, right? Just give this name this time. Copy this name for the YAML file and just run like this. Okay. Now dot YAML and run this. You see Selenium node Chrome is also now done. Now go back here to the Kubernetes dashboard and you see already one deployment started. You see some, there should be two actually. Okay, one pending and one running. Selenium Hub is already running. If you go to the pods, right? You see there are two. Selenium Hub is already running. Node is yet to be deployed. It again, it will take some time, guys. Okay, to deploy and start running on this Kubernetes, right? It will take some time. So I'll pause and resume the video once it turns green. Okay. As you can see, everything got turned green. That means it got deployed successfully and it's also running now, right? So you see here there are two deployments and as part of the deployments, right, the two pods got created and they are currently running. Okay, so they are currently in green color. You can see here. Fine. So now this is the thing. This is the thing. So what next? Okay, again let's go to the notes and continue the stuff. So we have deployed the Selenium Hub first, then deployed the Kubernetes service. Thereafter, we deployed the Selenium Grid node. Okay, as part of that, only one Selenium Grid node, where Selenium Chrome container is running on that particular pod. Fine. Now the thing here is, guys, we need to check the Selenium Grid status. Okay, so one hub and one node status we have to check, not in the dashboard, guys, in the normal way of that we do in the Selenium Grid that way. So to do that, guys, in order to do that, we have to run this command minikube space service space Selenium hyphen hub hyphen URL. This command we have to run. Let me run this command, guys. Minikube, okay, Selenium. You can run this command anywhere, no problem. Just in the command prompt, you have to run that's it. Okay. So minikube service Selenium hyphen hub hyphen URL like this you have to run. Okay. In a while, you will get some details of the IP address and port number where the Selenium hub and nodes, okay, we can access. So this is starting tunnel and all. You see it gave three URLs. Okay, mostly the first URL will be working it out. Okay, so next URLs will not be of no use. Mostly the first URL will work. Let's try this. Select this URL and say right click here. Okay. Right click here and say edit and copy. Okay, copy that and paste that URL here. Okay. So this is the thing that we got. Run this and see whether we can see the Selenium grid and grid node. Okay, you see hub is there and to that hub, the node having the Chrome browser is now set up on the Kubernetes cluster. This is how we can see the status base. Okay, fine. Next one. What is the next one? Next one is next thing is you see we have successfully set up, guys. Okay, we have successfully set up the Selenium grid on Kubernetes cluster. Now the time has come for us to run our Selenium automation scripts on this Selenium grid that has been set up on the Kubernetes cluster. Okay, so for that, I'll open this Eclipse IDE. I'll open this Eclipse IDE where the sample Selenium automation project is there, which is already configured with Selenium. Okay, this project is already configured with the latest version of Selenium as per today's date. And here we have the sample class. Inside that we have the main method. Here I'll write the code. First I'll write desired capabilities. Okay, because I want to run the scripts on the Selenium grid, right? So that's why I have to write like this. Okay, it should not be. I should not be writing like I am going to run the scripts on the local Chrome browser and all. Here I'm going to run the scripts on the remote machine using the Selenium grid. So desired capabilities, DC is equal to new desired capabilities. You have to write first desired capabilities. Then after that, hover the mouse and say import this desired capabilities from Selenium and Okay. So there is spelling mistake here. Desired capabilities. I is missing. Fine, done. Then after that, I have to say which browser have I can run, guys. On the Kubernetes cluster, on which browser I can run? Chrome, right? Because I only deployed the Selenium grid node for the Chrome. So I'll simply say set browser name as dc dot desired capability dot set browser name as Chrome. I'll say simple. Okay. Now here I'll say web driver is equal to new. Instead of saying Chrome driver and all, we have to say remote web driver. Okay. This is for the Selenium grid. Remote web driver. Now import this WebDriver interface from Selenium. This project is already configured with Selenium, so I can import. Now here inside the remote WebDriver, I'll put a comma. There are two arguments required. First argument is new URL. And now hover the mouse on this URL and import this URL from java.net. And inside the URL, what I have to do, guys? What I have to type? I should not be typing http colon double slash localhost 4444 like that. It should not type. Okay, we have to go to this where we got this thing from, guys, where we got this IP address and this port number from. When we have typed this command, right, that is a minikube service selenium hyphen hub hyphen URL, we got this IP address and port number we got, right. This one we have to take, okay. Otherwise you can copy it again if you want, okay. Edit, copy this and come back here and paste it here, okay. Slash w, okay, d webdriver slash hub, okay. This is what you have to type, guys. Now here one more thing I have to give, that is I have to give this DC, guys, for which the Chrome browser has been set. Desired capability has been set. Done. Now import this remote web driver from Selenium. If you get this kind of thing, hover that and ignore the exception for a while. Done. Then I'll say driver dot manage dot. I'll write the Selenium automation code now. Okay. Window dot maximize. Then driver dot get. I'll open this application URL. I'll take the sample application URL as this Internet Heroku, guys. Okay. This is one good one. I'll go with this Internet Heroku sample application. Copy this and come back here and paste the URL which I want to open. So what I want to do is I want to run a simple script, okay, where I want to get the title of this page. What is the title of this page, guys? Internet Heroku application page, the internet, right? I want to retrieve this title and print that in the output console of Eclipse IDE. So here I'll say driver dot get title, okay. So this command will retrieve the title of this page and get it printed in the output console because of println statement, okay. So I'll put a semicolon here. Save this. Done. Now here this is the simple script, guys. I don't want to explain a very big script here. Simple script I want to run on the Selenium grid that has been set up on the Kubernetes cluster. Finally, I'll close the browser and the script is done. Okay. This is a very sample script which runs on the Selenium grid, which has been set up on the Selenium grid Kubernetes cluster. Okay. This because this is the URL, right, of that thing. Okay. Selenium grid. This is the URL of the Selenium grid and where the Selenium this is a IP address and port number where the Selenium grid is running on the Kubernetes cluster, guys. On the Kubernetes cluster, this is IP and port number. Okay. So we have to give this URL. That's why. Run this. Right click, run as Java application. So it has to detect, guys. It will take a while to detect. You can also see here. So where is that? Yeah, here. Go to sessions and see if any sessions are getting detected here. We can see. Meanwhile, I'll also hover the mouse here. I can see. It will take a while to detect that grid node container on the Kubernetes cluster. Yeah, it detected, guys. It detected, you see, it detected W3C is coming here. I don't know what. Yeah, it also detected here. You see, the session is running, right, on the grid node. The script is running now. You can also check the video if you want, but it won't be. I didn't put timeouts, guys. Okay, so I didn't give proper times. Okay, I cannot see that. That's okay. Fine. If you get the output here, that is the title of the page. If printed mean that script has been successfully executed on the Selenium grid that has been set up on the Kubernetes cluster. Okay. So this is what I wanted to demonstrate as part of this session, guys, by running the Selenium scripts on Selenium grid that has been set up on the Kubernetes. Okay. Now the running part is done, guys. Now I want to clean up my machine, right? I want to clear up the stuff. Okay. So I want to remove that Selenium grid setup from the Kubernetes, and then I want to stop the minikube and all those stuff. For this, these are the post commands. Okay. So I already demonstrated, right, how to set up and how to run the scripts on Selenium grid that has been set up on the Kubernetes. Now the post steps are to clean up your machine. For that, guys, I'll run these commands. Okay, I'll run these commands here. The first, okay, wherever I can see a possibility, I'll run. So first command here I'll run is kube ctl delete -f. Okay. Oh, not here, guys, not here. Sorry. So you can only run from here. Okay. So where the files, YAML files are available, from there only you can run. But so this one is obstructing us. So what I'll do here is again I will open the command prompt from this location, cmd, and here I'll write kube, the place where this YAML files are available. From there only we will run the commands. Okay, kubectl create -f, the name of this file. So here, guys, I wrongly typed create, guys. I should not be writing create. I have to say delete. Okay, we are cleaning up, right? So delete and name of the file, right click and say .yaml. Okay, so what's going wrong? So let me check the command once again. I think I have forgot -f here. Okay. After delete, I have to provide -f. I will provide that. -f. Yeah, deleted, guys. Next things also, hub. I deleted the hub. I will delete the service and I will delete the Selenium grid node. Okay. So again, the same thing, and remove this part and simply say copy this name, and again right click paste and say .yaml. Done. It also will be deleted. Third one, copy, come back here, right click, say .yaml. Done. 3 got deleted, guys. Now there is nothing. The next step is that we have to stop the minikube, guys. Okay. We'll, now we can, once we deleted this deployed hub and service and Chrome Selenium grid Chrome node, right? Just go here and refresh here. You should not get anything. You see, there is nothing to display because we deleted it, right? There's nothing to display because we deleted them. Okay, that is what is the status. Now let's stop the minikube, guys, that I started in the beginning of this session, right? So I'll simply say where I can type this anywhere, guys. Okay, minikube stop. Okay, it will stop the minikube in a while. Stopping the minikube, powering off, and afterward that we'll delete the minikube itself. Okay. Powering off, it's still taking some time. Yeah, one node stop, done. So if you go here and to the dashboard and see now, when you say stop, right, and click on this pod, anyhow pods will not be there, but when you say nodes, right, you see there is nothing to display is coming when I click on the nodes. Okay. The reason behind that is like the mini cube has been stopped. You see, even this page is not coming. Okay, fine. Now simply I'll say mini cube delete. Okay, delete. Any containers are there, it will delete. Okay, in the Docker, if you see the containers, also this the container will be removed. Okay, in a while, you see it will be deleted. You see, there are no containers now, but image is still there, guys. Okay, Docker image is still there. Okay, container got deleted, but Docker image is still there. It's done. Not it. Let's wait. Yeah, remove all the traces and all. Container got deleted, minikube container, but image is there, so we can manually remove this. Remove. Yeah, image also got removed. Done. So guys, we have successfully cleaned our machine from this setup. Okay. So hope guys you understood how to set up Selenium grid on Kubernetes and thereafter how to run Selenium automations on this Kubernetes cluster. So with this, we'll stop this session. So that's it, guys. Thank you. Bye. Hello all. Welcome to this session. In this session, I'm going to explain and practically demonstrate running Selenium automation scripts on Kubernetes. So let's get started. First of all, what is Kubernetes? Kubernetes is the most popular container management tool which can manage a group of containers. As you can see in this image, Kubernetes is a container management tool, that is container orchestration tool, which can manage a group of containers which are created using some container platforms or softwares like Docker, etc. Kubernetes simply manages this group of containers. Okay. Now let's understand how to run Selenium automation scripts on Kubernetes. In order to run Selenium automation scripts on Kubernetes, we need to first set up Selenium Grid on this Kubernetes. Then, what is the advantage of setting up Selenium Grid on Kubernetes? We get the below advantages or benefits for setting up or by setting up Selenium Grid on Kubernetes. That means we can run our Selenium automation scripts on scalable containers and also the self-healing containers. The containers can heal themselves and less maintainable because Kubernetes maintains these containers for us. Better utilized because Kubernetes makes the best usage of these containers which are created on this Kubernetes cluster. And also Kubernetes will make sure these containers are highly available for us to run our automation scripts. That's why we get these advantages or benefits by setting up Selenium Grid on Kubernetes. Now, so now let's go with this Selenium Grid Kubernetes architecture, guys. Okay. So after you set up Selenium Grid on Kubernetes, this is how it looks like. Okay, this is how it looks like. Generally, guys, Kubernetes cluster will contain master and worker nodes, right? Two types of nodes. Orange color one is the master node, whereas yellow color things here we have are the worker nodes. So master node manages the worker nodes and master node contains some components. Okay, there are four components as you can see. One is API server, scheduler, controller, control manager, and etcd. Okay, etcd is a open source database. Okay, where all the data or information in this Kubernetes cluster will be stored in this database. Whereas API server will take care of all the communication that happen in this Kubernetes cluster. Whereas scheduler will take care of scheduling the respective pods onto the respective or suitable nodes. That is what scheduler is all about. And control manager component of this master node of the Kubernetes, okay, will make sure all the required nodes are running all the time. Okay, the number of nodes that need to run are available all the time or not will be taken care by this control manager. Like that, each and every component of this master node of this Kubernetes have their own responsibilities. And apart from this master node, we also have the worker nodes. Okay, in the worker nodes, we will have these pods and we have these containers running. Okay, in this worker nodes, this is where once you set up Selenium Grid on this Kubernetes cluster, right? So your scripts will run on this containers of this worker nodes. Fine. And as you can see in this image, guys, okay, I'll not explain more about Kubernetes architecture, but at a high level, if you can see, at the high level, if you can see, in order to set up this Selenium Grid on Kubernetes and to get this kind of architecture, first we have to deploy this Selenium Hub. Okay, on the Kubernetes, we have to deploy this Selenium Hub. I'll show you practically how to deploy this Selenium Hub. And after that, we have to create this Kubernetes service. Okay, why we have to create this Kubernetes service? Without Kubernetes service, these pods or okay, with this Selenium Grid nodes. Okay, you see this is a hub, Selenium Grid hub. This is Selenium Grid nodes. These are okay. So this Selenium Grid nodes, which are running on separate worker nodes, will not get connected to the hub. Okay, to get this Selenium Grid nodes connected to this hub and to form a kind of Selenium Grid available on the Kubernetes cluster, we need this Kubernetes service. Via this Kubernetes service only, these grid nodes will connect to the grid hub. Okay, that's why service is required. Here, three things we have to do, guys. First, we have to deploy the Selenium Grid hub on the Kubernetes. Second, we need to create this Kubernetes service, which is required for this connection between the nodes, grid nodes and grid hub. And thereafter, we need to deploy Selenium Grid nodes. Okay, Selenium Grid nodes where we can set up these containers like in the Selenium Grid nodes, we can set up containers like Selenium Chrome container, Selenium Firefox container, other browser containers, and so on. Okay, and master will manage all these worker nodes guys and make this possible. So this is what is the Selenium Grid Kubernetes architecture. And this is all about the theory, guys. Okay, so far I have only explained the theory. Now let me explain the practical stuff where how to run Selenium automation scripts on Kubernetes having the Selenium Grid setup. So to get started, guys, we have to install a lot of stuff. Okay. First of all, we need to install Minikube. Okay. We need to install this Minikube, guys. Why Minikube is required? Okay. Why Minikube is required? If you want to convert your local machine, okay. If you want to run this Kubernetes on your computer or personal machine or personal laptop, then we need the software known as Minikube. Without this Minikube, we cannot get Kubernetes set up on your local machine or personal computer or laptop. Okay. To get Kubernetes configured on your machine, we need this Minikube. Without Minikube, it's not possible. Okay. Without Minikube, it's not possible to get Kubernetes on your local machine. That's why Minikube is required. But before we install Minikube, guys, there are a lot of prerequisites that Minikube requires. Okay. So let's check one by one. Okay. What are the prerequisites required by Minikube, right? Let's check one by one. First is that two CPUs or more should be there. How to find it out? For that, guys, click on this Windows search and type task manager like this. Okay. The task manager will open and go to the performance tab and go down and see here some label is there like course and it's saying as 4 cores. Okay. 4 cores. 4 CPUs are there. That's enough, guys. Okay. So 2 CPUs or more. It's okay. My system is okay for installing Minikube. One of the prerequisites is kind of okay. The second one is we should have at least 2 GB of free memory, not complete memory. They are not saying that you should have 2 GB complete just 2 GB of memory, but 2 GB of free memory, guys. Okay. So how to find out the memory, guys? For that, I can type this one SYS SYS and you'll get this option system information. Otherwise, you type this, guys. Okay. System information you type. Okay, you'll get this system information app. Click on that. You'll get this dialog. So in this dialog, if you scroll down a bit, guys, here you see I have 8 GB of RAM in my machine. So I feel like definitely 2 GB will be free. Out of 8 GB, 2 GB will be free. Okay. So I can go ahead. Then 20 GB of free disk space. Okay. I have plenty of hard disk space that is left in my machine. So I don't think I have to worry much. So if I click on this and go to one of the file explorer and just check only one drive I have, and you see 186 GB free. That means 20 GB is enough. 186 is free. So more than enough. Na? So internet connection. Yes, I have the internet connection. Then the next thing for installing the Minikube is that you should have any container platform software, say Docker. Okay. Not only Docker, guys, other things are also okay, but Docker is kind of famous in the market. So I'll go with the Docker itself. Okay. We have to get this Docker software installed in our machine. Okay. In order to install Minikube, we have to install Docker software in our machines. Okay. But the problem here is like Minikube is having this many prerequisites. Similarly, Docker software, in order to install the Docker software also, we have to go with some prerequisites. Okay. Once these prerequisites are satisfied, only we can install Docker. Once the Docker is installed, only we can install Minikube. So let's check all the prerequisites of this Docker software. Okay. First of all, to install this Docker software, you should have at least Windows 10 64-bit or higher operating system. Mine is Windows 11, which is way higher than Windows 10. So how to find that out? Click on this Windows search and search for WinVer here, WinVer. Okay. And run this command, WinVer ground command. You see, my operating system is Windows 11. Okay. My operating system is Windows 11. So this is satisfied. Now, minimum 4 GB RAM, as I already checked, right? So as I already checked, I have 8 GB of RAM, so no problem. The next thing is BIOS level virtualization need to be enabled. How to find this out? Whether the BIOS level virtualization is enabled in my machine or not. For that, click on this and search for task manager here. Open this task manager app. So this is the task manager, guys. Go to the performance tab, and here somewhere under the performance tab, here you will see something known as virtualization, and it is in enabled state. Virtualization enabled. That means this BIOS level virtualization is enabled. This is also done. Now next one is we need to enable WSL2. Why we have to enable? In order to install Docker software, we have to enable WSL2. And first of all, what is this WSL2? WSL2 means Windows Subsystem for Linux. Okay. WSL means Windows Subsystem for Linux. Why this is required? Why we have to enable this? What is the use of this enabling WSL2 in your machines? You see, this means that from Windows operating system, you can operate with the Linux stuff. Okay, you can use the Linux stuff in the Windows operating system. You see, Linux is a separate operating system, right? Windows is one operating system, Linux is another operating system. But if you want to work with Linux from your Windows operating system, okay, if you want to use some Linux features from your Windows operating system, then we need to enable this WSL, Windows Subsystem for Linux. Enable, then only we can use Linux related stuff from the Windows machine. So how to enable this? Okay, in order to install Docker, this is required, guys. So we have to enable this WSL2. So how to enable that? To enable that, guys, so we have to first search for this thing in the Windows search. Okay, just click on this Windows search and say turn Windows features on or off, like this. This one you type and you'll get this control panel option. Click on that. You'll get this dialog, guys. You'll get this kind of Windows feature dialog. Okay, so scroll down and here you'll see something known as Windows subsystem for Linux. Okay, you'll see this option known as Windows subsystem for Linux. If it is not in selected state, select it. Okay, we have to select it. In my machine, it is already selected. And there's one more option, guys. Okay, after this option is selected, Windows subsystem for Linux, you also have to select virtual machine platform option also. These two options need to be selected. And after selecting this option, if in your machine they are not selected by default, and if you have selected them, so you have to restart your PC. Okay, if you are changing these options, means you have to make these options apply to your Windows operating system, you have to first restart your PC. Since in my machine they are already selected and I have restarted many times, I'm not restarting, but in your case, guys, you have to restart your PC after selecting these options. Fine. From the Windows features, after selecting this option, you have to restart your PC. Now let's go to this link, guys. Okay, so here we have to check something starting from step 2 of this link. Okay, open this link. Somewhere here you'll see some steps. You have to go directly to the step 2, and as we have to follow this step, guys. Okay, make sure these requirements are satisfying by our machine or not. Okay, so as per the step 2, guys, check requirements for running WSL2. In order to enable this WSL2, this is a prerequisite where in your Windows machine you should have, if your machine is Windows machine is a 64-bit machine. Yes, mine is a Windows 11 64-bit machine, mine is. So if that is a 64-bit machine of Windows, then here what you have to do is your operating system build version should be either this much or greater than this much. Okay, it should be either 18,362 or higher. Okay, how to find this out? Click on this Windows search and type winvar here, and again you will get this winvar run command. Open this. You see I got this Windows 11 dialog. Here you'll have a build version. OS build version is 22,434, which is way higher than 18,362. So no problem. Step 2 is satisfied, guys. Okay, now next move to the directly, let's from steps 2. Okay, directly from step 2 you have to switch to the step 4. Okay, in the same page from step 2 you have to go to the step 4, and where you have to download the Linux kernel update package. Okay, you have to download and install this one, guys. Okay, this particular link, you can see this link, right? WSL2 Linux kernel update package for 64-bit machines. Click on this link, guys. In a while this okay, WSL2 this update package, kernel update package, will be downloaded in your machine, and you have to simply double click and install it. It is a very simple one, guys. It doesn't take much time to install. Okay, let it download, guys. Let's wait for this to complete. As you can see, this Linux kernel update, that is for WSL2, has been now successfully downloaded here. It has .msi extension. Just double click on this, guys. You see, it will not take much time. You see, directly you got the finish dialog. Click on finish, done. Okay, we have successfully downloaded and installed this Linux kernel update package. And now after step 4, you have to go to step 5, guys. Go to the step 5 here. And you need to run this command, guys. On the PowerShell, you have to run this command. So I'll copy this command first. Okay, this command I'll copy. So click on this copy option. The command has been copied. Now I'll open the PowerShell. Click on the Windows search and type for PowerShell, guys. Click on this Windows PowerShell app. So let it load. So it has to give us some option to actually run this command. Let's wait for the Windows PowerShell to display that. Yeah, now it got displayed. So now I can right click here. You see, the moment I right click, whatever the command I copied from the step 5 got pasted here. Just simply run it. That's it. The operation completed successfully. This step is also done. Now let's move on. Now, guys, so all the steps for enabling the WSL2, that is Windows subsystem for Linux, enabling the WSL2 has been completed. Now the time has come for us to check whether that is really done or not. Okay, so how to check that, guys? Okay, how to check that? So for that, guys, for that you have to download any of these things. Okay, you have to download any of this stuff. So how to do that? Let's download any of this Linux. Okay, these are all Linux related, guys. Okay, Ubuntu, OpenSUSE, SUSE Linux, Kali Linux, Debian. Okay, these are all different Linux operating system flavors. You have to download any one of them. Okay, and check whether you can start using the Linux from the Windows. Okay, these Linux operating systems can you use from the Windows operating system or not? If you are able to use, means WSL2 is enabled. Without WSL2 is enabled, you cannot use any of this stuff. Fine, guys. Okay, so let's go with any of the things. One thing, I'll simply click on this Ubuntu 20.04, guys. Okay, LTS. Any of this one you can check, guys. Okay, just click on that. So it will take you to this page, and you have an option like get it. Click on get, and it's saying that you have to go to the Microsoft Store to install or download this and install it. So Microsoft Store is getting open because I selected that open Microsoft Store option there before coming here. Let's wait for the Microsoft Store to open. Let's wait. So let's wait for that to load. As you can see, it has loaded this one, guys. Now you see it's already downloaded, guys. If it's not downloaded, you'll get some option here. Since, looks like I have already downloaded here. I'm getting directly install option, but you may get option here. If you don't have the install button here, just click on that get, and it will download and it will display the install. Click on the install, guys. In a while it will be installed in your machine. Okay. So it's downloading, guys. Okay, it's downloading. Just click on that. Whatever it is coming, it's downloading first, and after that it will install. As you can see, it is installing now, and installation is done. Click on this open button, guys, once the installation is done. So wait for the while. Wait for the while. It will give you some options here. It will ask for the username and password. Let's wait. You see, Ubuntu is launching in my Windows machine. You see, I can start using the Ubuntu. Ubuntu is a Linux operating system flavor, right? So I can use the Linux related stuff from my Windows stuff. That means WSL2 is already enabled, guys. You see, it's asking for the username. Let's complete this process. I'm giving the username. I have to give some password, guys. Okay. I'll give some password. Done. You see, I got this. Here I can run the Linux commands if I want. Okay. So it's giving me this kind of prompt, and here I can run all the Linux related stuff. That means WSL2 is now successfully enabled. If the WSL2 is enabled, what we can do, guys? The WSL2 is enabled. We can install Docker now. All the prerequisites are done, guys. Okay. All the prerequisites, including this enabling of the WSL2, is done now. Now we can. Okay, all the prerequisites for installing the Docker is now done. Now we can install Docker, guys. Okay, why we are installing Docker? Because for you to install Minikube, one of the prerequisites is you have to install Docker. But in order to install Docker, you have to enable this WSL2 and other prerequisites. All these are done. So I'm installing Docker. Later I'll install Minikube. Okay. So how to install Docker, guys? Then download Docker for Windows. Okay, just Google search for this. Download Docker for Windows like this. And here you'll get this install Docker desktop on Windows option. Click on that. And here I got this option known as Docker desktop for Windows. Click on this. You see Docker software is getting downloaded. Let's wait for the download to finish. As you can see, guys, the Docker software has been now successfully installed. Let's simply double click on this exe file. And in a while, you will get a license agreement or kind of user access control dialog. Just select yes, installation wizard will come. Yes, installation wizard came. So it's downloading and all. Okay, fine. I don't want any shortcut, guys. Okay, remaining all are same. So install required Windows component for WSL2. You see, already we have enabled this one, so no problem. Okay, say okay. It is unpacking the files. It will take a while, guys. Okay, I'll pass and resume the video once this unpacking is done. As you can see, it is now installing, and installation has been succeeded. Simply say close. Done. You have successfully installed Docker. If required, you can restart your machine, guys. After installing the Docker, you simply restart your machine once. Now let's launch the Docker, guys. Okay, assuming that you have restarted your machine, let's launch the Docker. So how to launch the Docker? Click on this and simply type Docker here. You'll get this Docker desktop app. The Windows search. Click on that. You'll get a license agreement now. You need to agree to the license agreement, and in some while, the Docker will launch. So it's loading still, and we already got this Docker icon here. Fine. Let's wait, guys. It will launch. Yeah, we got this. We got the license agreement, service agreement. Accept the terms, read it, and accept. Okay, done. So now the Docker is going to launch. It will first start the Docker engine, guys. Okay, when you launch the Docker, right, it will start the Docker engine. So let's see. You see Docker desktop starting, Docker engine is starting here. Till then you cannot access these containers or images or any other options. So let's wait for this Docker desktop, that is Docker engine, to start. Okay. Let's wait for this to complete. After that we can access these containers and images. Okay, the Docker engine started, and here it's saying no containers running. So now I can, you see there is some kind of, okay, estimated time to something is coming. Skip this tutorial, guys. Okay, get started with, skip that. So here no containers running, and you can even access the images. There are no downloaded images. There are no downloaded Docker images there, and there are no current Docker containers running in this machine. So this is how we can access them. But these are the two main things that we are going to use in the coming topics. Okay. So for now, we are able to launch the Docker. That's it. Now open any command prompt and type this Docker -v. So simply say cmd, open the command prompt and type this command Docker -v to see whether the Docker has been successfully installed or not. You see, you got the Docker version. This version of Docker has, as per today's date, this is the Docker version that has got installed in my machine. So everything is fine, guys, about the Docker. So as I already mentioned, if you have restarted your machine, that's great. Then after that, guys, you see all the prerequisites for this mini cube has now been completed. Okay. What are the prerequisites that are required for installing the mini cube, right? Have successfully completed. So before you install this mini cube, guys, okay, before you install this mini cube, first let's install and configure this kubectl. Okay. It's one of the interface for interacting with the Kubernetes cluster. Okay. It's a command line interface for interacting with the Kubernetes cluster. So let's install this kubectl. So using this kubectl, we can run a lot of commands on the Kubernetes. Okay. So that's why you have to install and configure this. Let's install that. Okay. So simply search for install minikube in the Google. Search for installing minikube, and so you'll get this Kubernetes link and minikube link. There we have to go for the Kubernetes link, guys. Kubernetes.io link. Okay, in the search results, when you search for installing minikube, you got some link from Kubernetes IO and minikube. Okay, so we have to select the Kubernetes IO for this. Click on this install. You'll be taken here, guys. You see, first thing that is being displayed is kubectl only. So we have to install this kubectl on Windows. Okay, install kubectl on Windows. Select this option. So the moment I say that, it has taken me to this page, install and set up kubectl on Windows. Scroll down, and here we have the download the latest version of this kubectl for Windows. Click on this latest release version. So in a while it will be downloaded. Some exe file will be downloaded. Don't install this one, guys. Okay, let it download. I'll tell you what you have to do. You don't have to double click and run this. Okay, so let it install. It will not take much time. Almost there. Okay, fine. So let's wait for it, the download to complete. Still it is downloading. As you can see, now it got downloaded, guys. Okay, go to the folder, go to the place where it got downloaded. In the mostly in the downloads folder, it will be downloaded in my machine. So this exe file, copy this exe file, guys. Okay, copy this exe file and go to the your C drive or any location in your machine, and just create a folder, guys. Okay, just create a folder, any name, ABC or anything you can. I'm just giving kubectl only. You can give any name though. Open this folder and paste the file. Okay, paste the exe file that you have just now downloaded for kubectl. Okay, now what you have to do is copy this path where you have put this kubectl.exe file. Copy this path. Now click on this Windows search and say edit environment, edit the system environment variables. Click on this. You'll get that environment variables dialog. So two dialogues came up. Okay, one is enough. So system properties dialog came, guys, with this advanced tab selected. Select the advanced tab and go to the environment variables button. Click on this button, and here in the environment variables, under the system variables, you will find something known as path. Okay, under system variables path, you will find. Click on edit and click on new and paste the path of the folder where this kubectl.exe file has been downloaded and copied. Okay, simply say okay, okay, okay. That's it. Done. This part is done, guys. Kubectl part is done. Then what we have to do next is Okay, so now open the command prompt and see whether the kubectl is ready or not. Okay, so for that, click on the window search and say cmd, and here type kubectl. Run this. Okay, if you are getting all these options, all the commands of the kubectl, if you are getting like this, okay, that means kubectl has now been successfully installed in my machine. Okay, that's done. We have installed and configured kubectl. Then now let's download and install minikube, guys. Okay, let's download and install minikube in my machine. How to download and install minikube? So again, search for installing minikube in the Google search like this, installing minikube. Earlier, guys, we have used this kubernetes.io link, but this time we should not use that. We have to use the minikube link only. Okay. So when you want to install minikube, and when you search for this, where you got in the search results this minikube link, right? You have to select the minikube link instead of the Kubernetes. Okay. So select this minikube link. You will be taken to this page, guys. Okay. We will be taken to this page. Scroll down. You see installation is there. Installation. What is the installation process for minikube is there. Now here by default Windows is selected. That's okay because my machine is Windows only. So no problem. This option need to be selected. And mine is 64-bit machine. 64-bit option is also selected here. Now I want a stable version of the minikube. So stable is fine. Selected. I don't have to select the beta. And I want to download the exe file only. Okay. So exe download option is also selected. So with these options, guys, with this option, you see download the latest release here. Click on this latest release. In a while, minikube will be installed in downloaded in your machine. Okay. So let's download this minikube. So after the minikube gets downloaded, right, we can install it. Okay. Let's simply double click and install it. Okay. Let it download. Once the minikube is installed, we can double click and install it. As you can see, the minikube has been now successfully downloaded here, the exe file of the minikube. Simply double click, guys. That's it. Okay. Double click, it will, okay. More info, run anyway. Okay. If you're getting this kind of dialog, guys, simply say run anyway. No problem. I got this user access control dialog on my machine. I'm simply selecting yes. In a while, minikube will be installed. Okay. So installer language by default English is there. Say okay and click on next. Agree to the agreements. And this is the place where in your machine C program files Kubernetes minikube it will be installed. Click on install, guys. So it got installed, guys. Minikube got installed. Click on next. Click on finish. That's it. Done. You don't have to do anything else. So now to see whether the minikube has been successfully installed in my machine, in the command prompt, I will run this command minikube version command to see whether the minikube has been installed in my machine or not. Click on this window search and open the command prompt and type this command, that is minikube version. Minikube version. If you're getting the version of the minikube, that means minikube has been installed in your machine. Okay, you got the version of the minikube as per today's date. This is the version we got on installing the minikube. Okay. Then guys, there are a lot of commands for minikube, guys. Okay. There are a lot of commands with minikube. If you want to find that commands, right, you can type this command. Okay. Minikube help. Okay. I think this is a command minikube help. Run this. All the commands in the minikube, like if you want to start the minikube, what is the command? Start is a command. If you want to stop the minikube, stop is a command. If you want to delete the minikube, delete it. So if you want to check the dashboard of Kubernetes dashboard, if you want to check minikube dashboard is a command. Like that, many commands are there in the this minikube, guys. So whenever you are in need of the commands, right, simply type minikube help, and once you find the commands, you can run the commands. Okay. So there's one command like status, right? Get the status of a local Kubernetes cluster. Let's find out the status now, guys. I'll simply say CLS and say minikube status. Okay. So you see minikube not found, it is coming. Okay. Because so to start a cluster, I have to run the minikube. Okay. So if I run this command minikube status without starting the minikube, I'll get this kind of thing. It's asking me to start a cluster by running the minikube start. So let's start the minikube, guys. Okay. Let's start the minikube. So how to start the minikube? Simple minikube start command. Okay. Give the command minikube start like this. It will start the minikube. It will take some time, guys. It will download some. You see at this moment, before I do something right here, no images are there, no containers are running, right? No images related to the Docker images related to the minikube are there, and no Docker containers for minikube are running, but it is currently downloading the Minikube Docker image, and it will create a container out of that. Okay, so it will take some time, you see, downloading Kubernetes and all those stuff. Let me pass this video and resume this video once this process is done. As you can see here, guys, the Minikube software is now downloading the Kubernetes for us. Okay, it will set up the Kubernetes. It will make the setup of Kubernetes possible in my machine, in my local or personal machine. Okay, so that is the main purpose of the Minikube. So it's still going on, guys. Let's wait for the process to complete. I'll resume the video again once the things are done. As you can see, guys, it's now creating the Docker container. So if you go to this Docker software and click on images, you already got one of the image for Minikube, right? Now using this particular Docker image for Minikube, it is going to create a container. Okay, it will run. It's already running the container also. Okay, so maybe it's creating the container and it will run the container. Okay, so this is the container of Minikube, guys. So let's wait for this process to complete. So it's done now, guys. It's done now. So done. kubectl is now configured to use Minikube cluster and default namespace by default. That's okay. So fine. So next, after we have started the Minikube now. So let's see the dashboard of the Kubernetes. Okay. Let's see the dashboard of the Kubernetes. So by default, guys, in the dashboard, nothing will be there. But for now, the Docker image for the Minikube has been now downloaded, and using the Docker image, this Minikube start command has started this container also. Okay, container is also running. In that container, that Minikube container, Kubernetes is set up. Now we can see the dashboard of the Kubernetes. How to see the dashboard of the Kubernetes? This is a command, guys, that we have to type. So the one more thing you have to understand with this command here is this command will not work if you open the command prompt in the normal mode. Okay, if you open the command prompt in the normal mode, this Minikube dashboard command will not work. So for this command to work, you have to click on this Windows search and type cmd and right click here and say run as administrator. In the administrator mode, you have to open the command prompt. In the administrator mode, you have to open the command prompt. I got a user access control dialog. I'm selecting yes. Now, if you see the difference between this command prompt and this command prompt, this is a normal command prompt, whereas this command prompt is opened in the administrator mode. You can see the administrator text here. Now, you can type this Minikube dashboard command here. Minikube, this will work. Dashboard. Run this. So it should open a dashboard for us in the browser. Okay, by the end of this, you should get this some dashboard link opened here. Verifying proxy health. Yeah, it's opening. Yes, it's done. Kubernetes dashboard. Okay, which is Kubernetes, which is there in the Minikube container. Now this is a dashboard, guys. So you see there is nothing to display here at this moment. There is nothing, guys. Okay, so there's nothing to display here. If you click on the parts, still it is saying that there are no parts at this moment. On the Kubernetes, there are no parts. And if you go on and click on nodes, you see there is one node. Inside the nodes, pods will be there, guys. Generally, inside this nodes, there will be pods. But at this moment, there are no pods. Only the container is there. Nodes are nothing but container kind of thing is there. Minikube is there. And inside that Minikube node, you should get the pods. So what are these pods, guys? Okay, so now we have to deploy the Selenium hub, all those stuff, right? Deploy Selenium hub, Selenium grid nodes. You have to create the service and all those stuff. All those things we'll see in the pods case. Okay, Selenium hub we'll see that running in one pod, and Selenium grid nodes we'll see running in the another pods. Okay, let's see that. Now let's start deploying the Selenium hub on Kubernetes pod. So for that, guys, I'll close this dialogues. Okay, so I'll keep this dashboard open still. So guys, where can I get these commands for deploying the Selenium hub on Kubernetes pod? For that, guys, already this is there in the documentation of Selenium. So simply search for this Selenium Docker GitHub. These three terms, you just Google search for Selenium Docker GitHub. You'll get this github.com from the official website of Selenium saying Docker Selenium. Just click on this. This particular page has all the instructions, guys, that you have to that are required for deploying the Selenium hub and all those things on the Kubernetes. Okay, so scroll down on this GitHub page until you see something known as deploying to Kubernetes. Just keep on scrolling. So somewhere here you will see something known as deploying to Kubernetes. Yes, right, deploying to Kubernetes. Now here are the steps, guys, but you don't follow these steps. Instead, there is a link here, the bottom of this deploying to Kubernetes section. The Kubernetes example link is there. Just open this link, guys. Open this link, and if you go to this link, guys, here you can see there are few YAML files, right? Selenium Hub deployment.yaml, Selenium Hub svc.yaml, Selenium Node Chrome deployment.yaml, Selenium Node Firefox deployment.yaml. Okay, like that few files are there. So these things we have to, using these files we have to deploy, guys. Okay, using this file we have to deploy the Selenium Hub onto the Kubernetes. Using this file we have to create the Kubernetes service on Kubernetes, and using this we have to deploy the Selenium Grid node. Okay, Selenium Grid node on the Kubernetes. This is for node for Chrome, okay, for Chrome browser. Like if you want to deploy the Selenium node on Kubernetes for Firefox browser, then you have to go with this one, okay. So I'll go one by one, guys. First, we'll start with this. What is the command for deploying this? So thing is that scroll down here, you will see the commands, guys, okay. So deploying Selenium Grid, and here is the command, kubectl. With the kubectl, we can run this commands, kubectl create, and here hyphen file name, or you can give hyphen f also, that's also fine. And followed by that hyphen f, you have to give the name and extension of this file, okay. So these are the commands, guys. Generally, to deploy something onto the Kubernetes, you have to use a create command. Kubectl create commands you have to use, followed by hyphen f and name of the YAML files, okay. So I'll show you one of them. So first, let's deploy this one. You can also get this information from the notes, guys. Here I clearly documented what you have to run and all. You can follow the notes also. So first one is this command, guys. So here this YAML file you open, okay, in the new tab. This YAML file you open in the new tab for Selenium Hub YAML file, Selenium Hub deployment YAML file. Here are the instructions, guys. Already the instructions are there, right? Kubernetes instructions are already there here to set up this Selenium Hub on the one of the parts of the Kubernetes cluster. The instructions are already there. Simply click on this copy, guys. Copy raw contents. Done. The contents, this contents got copied. So what I will do is I'll open the Notepad++ here in my machine, and here in one of the new file I'll paste this code, paste these instructions, and say file save as. Anywhere in your machine you can save this file, guys. I'll choose downloads folder, because I'll just choose downloads folder, guys. Here inside the downloads I'll create one folder name, say Kubernetes Selenium Grid. Okay, Selenium Grid setup. Okay, like this I'll give some random folder name. Inside this folder name I'll save this file, guys, this notepad plus plus file. But what is the name I have to give here? The same name you have to give, guys. Selenium hyphen hub hyphen deployment you have to give. Okay, Selenium hyphen hub hyphen deployment deployment dot YAML file. Okay, so Selenium hyphen hub hyphen deployment dot YAML file, and save as type as all files. Okay, all types. Click on save. This YAML file has been saved. Similarly, okay, similarly, close this one, guys. Close this one. Again, on this page where all the YAML files are there, if you see, the next YAML file we have is the service file to create the Kubernetes service which connects the grid nodes to the grid hub, right? This one is very important. Okay, so you open this one. When you set up Selenium Grid on Kubernetes cluster, okay, when you set up Selenium Grid on Kubernetes, the nodes, okay, the nodes need to be connected to the hub. To connect the nodes to the hub, we need to run this service, guys. So in order to run this service in the Kubernetes, so we have these instructions of the Kubernetes. So copy these instructions, and again go to the Notepad++, create a new file and paste the instructions and say file save as. Okay, file save as, and go to the same location, that is same downloads folder, the folder I created just now, and here give the name of the file again, that is selenium hyphen hub hyphen svc, selenium hyphen hub hyphen svc dot yaml. Okay, and here save as all types. Just cross check once, selenium hyphen hub hyphen svc dot yaml and all types. Click on save. Again it got created. Now one more. So again, if you go here, close this one, guys, and after this Selenium Hub YAML file got created in your local machine. After this Selenium Kubernetes service YAML file has been created in your local machine using these instructions. Now, one more thing. So, guys, one thing you have to understand here is I cannot create multiple grid nodes. Okay. So, grid hub is one will be there. That's okay. Service will be one. That's okay. But grid nodes can be created many things, right? You see, in general Selenium grid, right? You'll have single hub and multiple nodes, right? General Selenium grid of Selenium, you'll have single hub and multiple nodes. But I cannot take multiple nodes here. The problem here is my computer's resources are not enough. Okay, whatever the RAM I have, whatever the CPUs I have, right, that is not enough, guys. Okay, so if you want to set up Kubernetes set up Selenium grid on Kubernetes, right? Then you have to go for a higher configuration machine. Okay, that I don't have, guys. Okay, you also may not be having because mine is 8 GB RAM. Still, it's not possible. Maybe 16 GB may be useful. I don't know, but my machine at this moment is not enough. So instead of creating multiple grid nodes, right, I will create only one node as a sample, because my purpose of this session is to simply show you how to run Selenium automation scripts on Kubernetes, right? So I'll take only one node, guys. If you have very good configuration than mine, you can create multiple grid nodes, guys, and run your scripts on Selenium grid. Okay, you can try all the different ways, parallel execution, everything you can try, guys. But for this session, I'm only taking one grid node because my configurations of my session are not supported for bigger Selenium grid setup on Kubernetes here, okay, on my local machine. So fine, anyhow, I'll go with this one, guys. Okay, I'll open this Selenium grid node for Chrome. New tab. Here are the instructions, guys. Copy these instructions again. Again, open the Notepad++ here in the new file, paste the instructions, and here carefully observe that the replicas are two, means it will create two grid nodes for Selenium Chrome. Selenium node Chrome, it will create two grid nodes, but as I already mentioned, my system is not enough for that requirement. I'll just simply change two to one. So one grid node only, one hub, one node I have now. Okay. For sample, I can show you. So I'm changing the replicas to from 2 to 1 because I want to create only one Selenium grid node for Chrome. Okay, in my machine. Downloads again, go to here and here, create the same file. So Selenium hyphen node hyphen Chrome, Selenium hyphen node hyphen Chrome hyphen deployment.yaml. Okay, hyphen deployment.yaml. And here save as type as all types. Click on save. That's it, done. This is also done, guys. So all the three YAML files I created here, one for Selenium Hub, for deploying the Selenium Hub, I already created the YAML file in my local machine. For creating the Kubernetes service on Kubernetes, that YAML file instructions also I created. That YAML file also I created in my local machine. And the third one is Selenium grid node for Chrome, only one replica. For that instructions also I created a YAML file in my local machine. Where I created, guys, all these files I created in my downloads folder in my machine, right? You can create any folder, guys. I chosen the downloads folder. You can go anywhere. And this is the folder I created, Kubernetes Selenium grid setup. Inside that, three YAML files I just now created. These are the three YAML files. Now, what are the commands I want to use for deploying the Selenium hub on Kubernetes, creating this Kubernetes service on Kubernetes, or deploying the Selenium grid node on for Chrome on Kubernetes, right? I have to run all the commands from here only. Okay, it should not be run from anywhere else. Wherever the YAML files are there, from there only you have to run the commands. Otherwise, this will not be deployed. So what are the commands anyhow? So the commands are here, guys. So simply say create. I already showed you the commands, right? If you go here with the Kubernetes examples, here they have the commands. Kubernetes create followed by these things. Either you can give hyphen hyphen file name is equal to name of the file and extension, or you can give hyphen f space name of the file and extension. Anything is fine, guys. So I'll go with the hyphen f. You can try the hyphen hyphen file name also. You can try, but I'm going with hyphen f. Okay. So here, so from the place where these YAML files are there, I'll simply select that path and say cmd. So the moment I do that, my command prompt will open from the this location where the YAML files are available. You see, my command prompt is currently there at Kubernetes Selenium grid setup place. Okay, this folder where the YAML files are available. Here I will type the commands kubectl space create followed by hyphen f. Okay, this is one format. Otherwise, you can use hyphen hyphen file name also. But that is another different. Hyphen hyphen file name is equal to, you have to write here hyphen f space, you have to write, and you have to give the name of the YAML file. For example, I want to deploy the Selenium hub onto the Kubernetes first. I'll copy this and here I'll right click and I got this name of this YAML file, and I'll give the extension here .yaml. Run this. Within no time, it will create the Selenium hub. It has deployed the Selenium hub, guys. If you go here, guys, and go to the Kubernetes dashboard, you see this time something is happening here, right? One pending. My Selenium hub is getting deployed onto the Kubernetes. That's why it's coming in pending state. These colors have to be converted into the green color, guys. Okay. Once the deployment of the Selenium hub is done on the Kubernetes, and also once that particular Selenium hub is running on the Kubernetes, these colors will change to green color. Let's wait for these colors to change to green color. At this moment, they are in orangish color. So let's wait, guys. It will take a while, guys. Okay. I'll pass and resume this video once this colors got changed to green color. As you can see, guys, Selenium Hub has been deployed onto one of the pods, and that pod is currently running, right? Now, apart from this, you can click on the pods, guys. Okay, you see Selenium Hub pod is running, and if you go to the nodes, you will see the mini cube. Inside the mini cube, we have this pod. Okay, pod for Selenium Hub, and it's currently running. And you can see that same details on the this workloads page also, where you can see that Selenium Hub has been deployed onto a pod, and that particular pod is running. And here you can see deployed, and the pods that are running are Selenium Hub at this moment, right? Now, a few more things we have to deploy. Okay, apart from the Selenium Hub, we have to deploy the other stuff also. So after deploying the Selenium Hub, we have to deploy the you have to create the you have to create the Kubernetes service. Next one is creating the Kubernetes service. So here, if you can see the what are the commands? Let me show you. We have to create the Kubernetes service, guys. Okay, this service will help us connecting the Selenium grid nodes on the Kubernetes cluster to the Selenium Hub on the Kubernetes. Okay, so this service will help connecting the nodes grid nodes to the grid hub. So this is what you have to do. kubectl create again -f followed by the name and extension. Already we created this YAML file here, guys. This is the one. Selenium -hub service. SVC is the service. So what I will do here is already I opened the command prompt from this location where these YAML files are there. The same place. I'll simply press up arrow so that the previous command will come. This file name and extension I'll modify. Okay, remaining all are same. I just will give this name of this file here and right click and say .yaml YAML done. You see, the service has been created. Next thing is that I need to deploy the Selenium grid node for Chrome onto the Kubernetes. Okay, so I'll take this third one, copy this file name, and again the same thing I'll do. I'll remove this last things. Right click here. I'll get the name of this Selenium grid node for Chrome, YAML file, YAML, and run this. Okay, it will create. Now go here and see the dashboard, guys. You see in a while, you see already one was deployed and running, but now next one is in pending. This is for Selenium grid node for Chrome is getting deployed onto the Kubernetes. Onto the Kubernetes, another pod is getting deployed. Okay, so it will be running on the pod here. Let's wait for this orange color to convert into full green color. So out of two should be in green color. Okay, only one is in green, one is in orange because it is in pending state. Let's wait for this process to complete. I'll pass and resume the video because it will take some time. Once it is converted to green, I'll resume the video. As you can see the complete green color, guys, that means two deployments happened and two pods are running. Okay, so in one pod Selenium hub is running, in another pod Selenium node for Chrome. Okay, Selenium grid node for Chrome is now running. Okay, as a sample we have one hub and one node. I cannot create more nodes because right, my system configurations are not enough. So if you have a very better machine, you can actually try that. So fine, anyhow, once these things are running, guys, once these required things are running, now Selenium grid setup on Kubernetes has been now done. Okay, we have successfully set up Selenium grid on Kubernetes. Now what we have to do, guys, after setting up Selenium grid on Kubernetes, we have to run the Selenium automation scripts, right? So before running the automation scripts, guys, before running the automation scripts, let me use a Selenium Grid console. Okay, let's access Selenium Grid console. So in order to access the Selenium Grid console, which will display me the hub and the connected nodes and all. Okay, whether the nodes have been successfully connected to the hub or not, we can find it out from the Selenium Grid console, right? To get that Selenium Grid console opened from any of the browsers with a URL, right? You have to first get the URL. For that, this is the minikube command, guys. We have to run. Let me run this command. So anywhere you can run, guys. You can go anywhere and run this. Okay, so I'll see what is the command prompt. Okay, here I can run. This is a better place, I feel. I will run here. Minikube minikube service. Okay, followed by Selenium hub space. Okay, space hyphen URL I have to give. Okay, space hyphen URL. Okay, once I run this command here, we'll get a list of IP addresses and port number where this Selenium Grid console will be running. Okay, run this. In a while, it will display you the list of IP address and port numbers where Selenium Grid console will be running. Okay, the URL, you'll get the URL. So guys, instead of using localhost :4444, generally we use for Selenium Grid, right? Instead of using that, we have to use this IP address and port number. Basically, it's giving you 3 IP address and 3 port numbers. You have to pick the first one. Okay, mostly it will be there in the first one. If not in first one, you can try the other ones, but mostly it will be there in the first one itself. This first IP address and first port number. Select that and say edit copy, and in any browser window, just paste that. Okay, whatever the IP address and port number you got, paste that and run it. You see, Selenium grid console is now visible, and this Selenium grid is now connected to the hub is now connected to this one node. Okay, Selenium grid node, which is having the Chrome browser, where you can run your scripts on the Chrome browser, is now up and running. Now the next thing, guys, once this setup is done, so what we have to do is we have to run our Selenium automation scripts on the Selenium grid. Okay, how to run Selenium automation scripts on Selenium grid? So for that, guys, I'll open this Eclipse IDE. Here we have the sample project which is already configured with the latest version of Selenium as per this date. And inside this project, we have the sample demo class. Inside this, we have the main method. Here I'll write the Selenium automation code. So here I should not be writing the code for running the scripts on my local machine, like running on a Chrome browser and all. I have to write in such a way that we used to write for the Selenium grid. How we write for the Selenium grid, guys? First we'll write desired capabilities. DC is equal to new desired capabilities. Okay, like this you have to write. Now import this desired capabilities, and here next line you have to say I imported the desired capabilities from Selenium library. After that, DC dot set browser name. I'll set it to Chrome browser. Chrome. I'll say Chrome, and after that I will say web driver. Web driver driver is equal to new Chrome, not Chrome, sorry, remote web driver. I should not be using Chrome, right? Generally, if you are writing the scripts for running on the Selenium grid, right, we generally write remote web driver instead of Chrome driver or Firefox driver or whatever it is. Okay. So like this, import this WebDriver interface from Selenium and import this remote WebDriver class also from Selenium and put a comma here, guys. Put a comma here. And before putting the comma, you are already getting some error. Hover the mouse. Okay, what is this remote WebDriver? Everything is fine. Yeah, it is asking for constructors. That's okay. So comma and here say new URL. URL. Okay, and import this URL from java.net and here provide double quotes. And here, what URL you have to give? The same thing that you got here, right? Just now you got some table, right? When you run this command minikube service Selenium hub hyphen URL, right? You got this. This is a place where the Selenium grid is now running, right? So on the Kubernetes, Selenium grid has been set up at this IP address and port number, guys. So copy this again, right click edit, copy, and here say DC, guys. Okay, DC, give DC, guys. Okay, DC means this desired capabilities. Okay, just give that. Now hold the mouse and say ignore exception, add throws declaration. That's it. After that, the remaining steps are common. Driver dot manage dot window dot maximize. After that, driver dot get. I'll take some sample application URL, guys, for opening in this script. So very simple application I'll take. That is Internet Heroku. I'll take. Copy this. I mean, just go to this link, copy this URL, and paste the URL here. Okay, of Internet Heroku. And what I will do here is just as part of this, I don't want to create a complex Selenium automation code or script here. After opening this application URL, simple thing I want to do is I want to get the title of this page. That is the internet should be retrieved from this page and printed into the output console. You see in the output, then this was my previous input. Okay, that's okay. I'll clear that. So the internet should be displayed in the output. Okay, so how to do that? System.out.println driver dot get title. Okay, like this. So it has to retrieve the title of this page and get it printed in the output. At this moment, there is no title printed in the output. After running, it should come. Then after that, guys, I'll simply close the browser. Okay, this is the end of the script. I'll simply close the browser. Now, guys, everything is ready. So I'll run the script, guys. I'll run the script. Right click run as Java application. This script, this automation script of Selenium should now run on the Kubernetes. Okay, it should run on the Kubernetes. In a while, it will take the Kubernetes and all. So, and also guys, here you can see here, okay, the Selenium grid console. If you go to the sessions, guys, the session will also be detected here. Over the mouse here. After this Kubernetes gets detected here, you see the session will be running here on the grid. It will take some time, guys. Okay, you have to be patient here. This will take some time to detect the Kubernetes cluster and all those stuff. You see already detected, and also it's, you see it's running here. You see, can you see it is running on the Selenium grid? The Selenium grid has been set up on the Kubernetes. Okay, here it is running. Okay, on the Chrome node, git Chrome node it is running, and here already the script has been executed and you got the output also. So this proves that we have successfully run our Selenium automation scripts on the Selenium grid which we have set up on the Kubernetes. Okay. So fine guys, I've shown you whatever I have to show, and as part of the post steps guys, okay. So I have shown you how to run Selenium automation scripts on Kubernetes having Selenium grid setup. Now I'll show you some post steps where you can clean up your machine. Okay. You can remove all the stuff. Okay. All this Kubernetes stuff you can remove from your machine. So this is the post steps. Okay. If you, this is optional for you if you want to learn, if you want to know how to remove this I mean deployments from the Kubernetes, and how to stop this mini cube, how to delete the mini cube and all, right? So just follow the process, guys. Okay. So whatever the process I'm saying, follow. So here everything is occupied. Here I can run, guys. This is command prompt is kind of free. So these commands, first of all, these commands, guys, these commands where you want to remove the deployments. Okay. You have earlier deployed the Selenium hub onto the Kubernetes using this command, right? Using the create command you created, right? For deleting or removing the deployment from the Kubernetes, you have to use delete command. Okay. Same command, but just in place of create, you have to use delete. That's it. So let's start using that. I'll just say, okay, Selenium hub deployment. This was a create command. I have to replace the create with the delete. Okay. So these commands I have to run from the location where the YAML files are available. Okay. So from here I have to run, guys. Okay. So if you see here, the command prompt is opened at this location. Okay. So this folder where the YAML files are there. From there only you have to delete kubectl delete. Otherwise it will not work. These commands will not work if you run from any other place. So it has removed the Selenium hub. Now let's remove the another one. So let's remove the service, Kubernetes service. Let's remove. For that, I'll say delete, and I'll run this. It will remove the Kubernetes service. And now I'll remove the last one. So here I'll say kubectl delete, and grid node also is getting removed. Deployment of the grid node is also getting removed. Also got removed from the Kubernetes. So now we don't have anything. And if you see the dashboard here, guys, if you see the dashboard here, you see there is nothing to display because we have removed the hub and deployed things we have removed. So nothing is there. Now we can stop this mini cube, guys. So we can stop the mini cube. How to stop the mini cube? From wherever you want to run, you can run. Mini cube stop. Okay, it will stop the mini cube. If you go to the images, guys, image is there, and if you go to the containers, right? Let's see. It has to stop this container, guys. Okay. So once this command is executed, it's still powering off. This mini cube should go down. Okay, it's currently in running. It will go down with this command. Powering off, still powering off. Yeah, it has gone down. You see, it got exited. That means it's powered off. But it has not been removed, right? It has not been deleted. If you want to delete this container, then you have to say mini cubes delete. You have to say, okay. When you say mini cube delete, this mini cube container will be deleted from our machine. You see, in a while it will be deleted. Deleting the container, you see there are no containers now. Okay, there are no containers running in my machine now. But you see the Docker image is not deleted, guys. The Docker image for the mini cube is still there even though container is not running and deleted. So simply click on these three dots and remove, guys. It will remove the Docker image also from your machine. Done. Now my system is clean. And if you still want to remove the mini cube and uninstall all the stuff, right? Simple. If you want to uninstall the mini cube from your machine, go to your C drive. Okay, there is in from control panel uninstall applications. You cannot uninstall this, guys. You have to go to the C drive, and you have to find the place for program files, and here Kubernetes folder. Okay, inside the Kubernetes folder you have the mini cube, and here is where it got installed, guys. So you have to uninstall from here. Okay, double click. Let's see whether it will uninstall or not. It's taking some time. Or you simply delete this folder itself, guys. It will be gone. Okay, fine. It's loading, guys. Let me wait for some more time. Yeah, I got a user access control. I will say yes. Yeah, welcome to Kubernetes Minikube uninstall wizard. Click on next, uninstall. This is a process for uninstalling, guys. Click on next. It's I want to reboot later. Click on finish. Okay, I'll delete this folder, guys. I don't want this folder. I'll delete this Kubernetes folder now. That's it. Delete. So I have to restart it seems. Okay, somewhere instances are there. Close this, and delete. Right click. I'll try this again. Yeah, it got deleted, guys. That's fine. Now Minikube is also got uninstalled. If you want to uninstall Docker, guys, so go to control panel. Okay, go to control panel. Uninstall a program and say Docker. Uninstall this. Okay, this is a process for uninstalling. So it will uninstall Docker from your machine. Now your system will be kind of clean and neat, guys. Okay, there's nothing there in your machine. So we have successfully done all the post steps. Okay. So guys, this is the process of running Selenium automation scripts on Kubernetes by setting up Selenium grid on Kubernetes. So close, uninstall, done. That's it, guys. So that's all for this session. Thank you. Bye.